The mystical dragon attempts an epic summon for a goddess with legendary healing vibes, but instead of a divine beauty, Kim Oh-jin pops up, looking totally wrecked and confused. He figures he's kicked the bucket and starts the classic cinematic flashback. Vet school was a nightmare. He survives the screaming professors, grabs his license, and grinds through 3 years of low-wage hell. After hustling non-stop to save stray animals, our boy finally scrapes together enough cash to launch his own tiny clinic. But it's a total flop. 0 customers, broken signboard, just sad vibes. One night, drowning in debt and staring at the ceiling, he reflects on his messy life when he hears a weird noise. Before he can even blink, bam! He's teleported to a cave dripping in gold and magic circles. He's convinced he's landed in hell, so he demands answers. The dragon says it summoned a vet for its pet. Oh-jin braces himself for some Godzilla-level nightmare. But the dragon reveals a tiny, weak fruit bat named Catalyst. Talk about an anticlimax. Seeing the dehydrated little guy, Oh-jin instantly flips the switch to doctor mode. Name? Symptoms? How long have you had him? The dragon puffs up 1 week, basically because owning exotic pets is the current dragon trend. Oh-jin remembers how much he hates impulsive, trendy owners. He narrows his eyes. Is he eating right? The dragon smirks. Fresh animal blood. Only the finest. Oh-jin facepalms. Hard. This is his biggest pet peeve, clueless owners. Frustrated, he snaps. Fruit bats don't drink blood. Genius. That's for vampires. Catulus has been starving for 1 whole week. The dragon shrinks back, admitting he's a total newbie. Oh-jin tears into him. 0 research? And this freezing cave temperature? It could kill him if he wakes up. The dragon tries to argue, but I'm an ice dragon. Oh-jin shuts him down. Cold is cold. Realizing he messed up big time, the dragon hangs his head, apologizing to Catulus. He promises to grab some fruit and send the bat back home. Grateful for the save, the beast offers Oh-jin 1 wish as a thank you gift. Oh-jin cracks a joke. Make me a filthy rich prince or a villainous heir. The dragon looks confused, but hands over his necklace. It's a legit magic pendant that grants wishes, as long as there's no evil intent. As it starts glowing, Oh-jin figures he's definitely crossing over to the afterlife. Panic wish. Take me back to the early days of Bitcoin. The dragon watches him vanish, then rushes to get fruit, still wondering what kind of weird goddess that was. Moments later, our boy materializes on a loud, crowded street, bursting with food smells. Is this a respawn? A possession? A fruit seller eyes his weird clothes. You, a traveler? She welcomes him to Belmore, a region famous for markets and inns. But before he can reply, chaos. A massive rabbit barrels down the street, inhaling carrots. People scramble, screaming. Oh-jin just stands there, stunned to see a literal monster chilling in public like it's normal. Run! That's Lord Belmore's pet, the seller screams. But Oh-jin spots a little girl freezing up in front of the beast. 0 hesitation. He dives in and yanks her to safety just before the creature strikes. As the rabbit lunges again, the pendant flashes. Bam! A magical blue leash snaps around the beast. The crowd gasps. Is he a wizard? The seller stares, realizing this guy is definitely not a tourist. Lord Belmore storms in, absolutely livid to see his precious pet tied up. Oh-jin explains it almost crushed a kid, but Belmore is in total denial. Oh-jin loses it. Owners who ignore red flags are the worst. He warns that the rabbit's bite could crack a human skull. The crowd silently cheers for the truth bomb. He inspects the rabbit, domestic breed, but something is definitely off. Signs of massive stress and overeating. Why is this animal acting out? He demands. Belmore crumbles. She pulls her fur out. Oh-jin gets real. That stress is a killer. Keep her out of crowds. Let her roam free at home for exercise. And stop spoiling her. Belmore starts crying, admitting he gets roasted for owning a rabbit. But he sees Oh-jin as the real deal. He snaps his fingers for the butler and hands over a bag of gold. Please, check on Elizabeth sometimes. He apologizes to his giant bunny and heads out with her. Our boy's barely done, muttering never coming back here under his breath when bam! A crowd swarms him. They're hyping up Oh-jin's courage like he's a superhero. The fruit vendor? She's practically bowing, thanking him for saving her stall and sliding him a sweet discount. But when he drops the "I'm broke" bomb, she just points at his pouch. He cracks it open and freezes it stuffed with legit gold coins. He bites one old school style. Metallic crunch? Check. A slow, satisfied grin spreads across his face. Finally, he can launch a new clinic here and wipe out that crushing debt from the human world. Fast forward, and Oh-jin's thanking a room full of job seekers. He eyes the crowd, half amused, telling them he genuinely hopes one of them has what it takes to make the cut. Then he drops the hammer. Let the interviews begin. He calls it a game of life and death. Dramatic much? For a split second, his mind flashes back to Lord Belmore. That guy was the real MVP, handed over land and cash, the second Oh-jin decided to set up shop in this realm. Thanks to that heavy-duty support, Branch number 2 opens without a hitch. Belmore even hooked him up with a fully prepped storefront. Weird detail though? It's jammed with rabbit supplies. Like, everywhere. But hey, Oh-jin's not complaining. Free is free. That connection with Belmore is already paying dividends. But as the daily grind takes over, reality hits. He knows absolutely zero about this world, especially regarding that dragon who dragged him here. That scaly liar promised a return ticket home, then ghosted him in this bizarre land. Determined to get answers, he slaps a sign on the door. Animal hospital hiring now. The goal? Find a unicorn who can juggle assistant work and technician duties. Game time. Oh-jin straightens up, eyeing the lineup of hopefuls like a hawk. First up, Thomas. Guy starts yapping about his noble lineage, his strict dad, his saint of a mom, blah blah blah. Oh-jin zones out immediately. The ego on this guy is exhausting. Next, enter candidate number 2, Philip. He claims his family's been in the animal business for generations. Okay, now we're talking. Sounds legit, right? Until he drops the bomb. They run a butcher shop. Hard pass. Oh-jin mentally shreds his resume instantly. Apparently, finding a normal human in this dimension is mission impossible. Then, the third candidate steps up. This guy looks like a walking red flag, pale, twitchy, with eyes that scream, I have issues. Oh-jin tries to be the bigger person. Don't judge a book by its cover. But that goes out the window when the dude literally flings himself onto the floor. He starts begging like his life depends on it. Nope. Done. Oh-jin decides right there. Judging people by looks? Totally valid strategy from now on. Effective immediately. Before he can even kick the guy out, a young woman steps out of the queue. She doesn't say a word. Wham! She decks the creep right in the face, sending him flying across the room like a rag doll. She dusts off her hands and introduces herself. Selena, a roaming animal expert who knows basic treatments. The vibe? Total boss energy. Oh-jin is shook in a good way. He hires her on the spot. Cut to the next afternoon. Our boy is chilling in his cozy new clinic. He's soaking up the sunlight, feeling good. But check the clock, it's noon, and Selena is MIA. Did he pull the trigger too fast on hiring her? Just as he's debating putting up another help wanted sign, a knock echoes at the door. Expecting his violent but capable assistant, he swings it open only to face a total stranger. Minutes later, the guy's sipping tea like he owns the place. Oh-jin keeps the polite customer service smile plastered on, but inside, he is screaming. Finally, customer number 1. This is the first real step to clearing that mountain of debt. He flashes back to his old clinic, the one that tanked because he had zero chill. He remembers losing it on a client who wouldn't brush their dog's teeth. He screamed so hard he got labeled the crazy rude vet across town. Not this time. New plan. Smile, stay zen, and charm the cash right out of their wallets. Back to reality. He asks about the pet. The stranger grins and points to his pocket. Out comes a tiny lizard named Pojak. Oh-jin almost sighs with relief. It actually looks like a normal animal for once. No weird fantasy hybrid monsters today. But that relief? Yeah. It lasts about 5 seconds. The guy casually admits he grabbed the tail until it popped off. Oh-jin has to physically restrain himself from roasting the guy alive. Focus on the lizard. Just focus. He inspects Pojak. Dry, red skin. Classic signs of improper shedding. The poor thing is miserable. As he explains this, the owner drops a warning. He gets a little feisty. Feisty? Try homicidal. The little reptile spits. A literal flamethrower burst straight at Oh-jin's face. Before he can even blink, Selena crashes through the door and shoves him out of the kill zone. Saved by the bell. The flames torch the wall where his head just was. Oh-jin's on the floor, dazed, tasting a little blood. He groans, muttering that taking the fire to the face might have hurt less than Selena's tackle. Then it hits him. His first patient isn't just a lizard. It's a salamander, a fire-breathing nightmare you definitely can't handle barehanded. Does this place even have fireproof gear? Meanwhile, the customer is gazing at Selena with hard eyes, calling her beautiful while she grills him. She grills him on where he scooped up the critter. He puffs out his chest, bragging he snagged it from the mountain back of the village, claims it was total love at first sight. Selena cuts the romance short, keeping a salamander straight up illegal. Those things are endangered thanks to poachers going overboard. Still, she throws him a lifeline. If they say they're holding it strictly for medical rehab, the cops might look the other way, assuming he releases the beast once it's healed. But the guy clamps onto Pojak like a lifeline, eyes welling up with waterworks. He refuses to let go. Suddenly, he sprints for the exit, screaming that nobody is tearing him away from his soulmate. Oh-jin just stands there, jaw on the floor, staring at the empty doorframe. Selena freezes for a split second before our boy snaps at her to chase the guy down. And just like that, the clinic's debut appointment morphs into a slapstick marathon through the streets. Just another chaotic Tuesday in Oh-jin's unscripted new life. The local fruit vendor, who was just vibe-checking how peaceful life felt without the Lord Reverend's drama, quickly learns that quiet days are a myth. She dives behind her crates as the stampede flies by, deciding to mind her own business. The man weaves through the mob, hugging his mystery bundle with desperate, frantic energy, while our boy tails him, lungs burning but refusing to quit. The fruit lady peeps out at the madness, whispering that, whatever drama is unfolding, she wants zero parts of it. The runner is panicking now, muttering that everyone is out to snatch Pojak away. Oh-jin and Selena keep up the pursuit until their cardio finally fails them. Gasping for air, she roasts Oh-jin for being out of shape, then snaps back to the salamander's critical state. He confesses the creature's molt has layered up dangerously, it needs help. Stat. Selena's face goes pale as the risk clicks. She breaks it down. A salamander that can't shed its skin turns into a walking time bomb, ready to nuke everything nearby. No time for a breather. They have to locate the beast before the town goes boom. Meanwhile, thinking he's in the clear, the runaway makes it home. Sighing with relief, he sets Pojak on the table, convinced their bond is written in the stars. His adrenaline shifts into artistic flow as he starts crooning, letting a weird melody drift through the room. But the creative vibe dies instantly when Pojak starts vibrating and bursts into flames. In seconds, his crib is a blazing inferno. Choking on smoke, the guy actually tries to debate with the salamander. Reaching out like a hug is going to fix a fire hazard. Pojak responds with another blast, turning the heat up to 11. Selena crashes in just in time to drag the guy to safety, while our boy squares up against the heat, determined to lock this situation down. He's thinking a fire extinguisher would be clutch right now. Suddenly, his pendant flares up. When the glow fades, Oh-jin finds exactly that sitting in his grip. No time to question the magic delivery service. He dives in, spraying the blaze, until the salamander's fury cools off and the room goes silent, except for the hiss of rising steam. As the smoke clears, Selena scans the wreckage. The man is sitting in the debris, muttering that the meltdown was just a molt gone wrong. He swears he'll be a better dad next time, his voice dripping with delusion. Our boy watches him, skeptical. Does this guy even know what taking care of something means? Love without a clue? Oh-jin figures, is just selfishness wearing a fancy costume. Later in the woods, Pojak finally sheds its skin. Moments later, Selena notices it's got way more energy, while our boy is shook by its massive size. The man looks at his pet with bittersweet pride, whispering that it's time to set it free. He watches Pojak vanish into the timber, mumbling promises of eternal love that the animal definitely doesn't understand. Oh-jin rolls his eyes hard, thinking this level of drama is just asking for trouble. But the guy is in his own world, thinking this is some noble sacrifice. The scene gets surprisingly wholesome when Pojak pauses on a rock and launches a massive fireball skyward. The flames explode into legitimate fireworks, lighting up the dusk. The man gazes up, completely choked up, while our boy quietly marks the case as closed. A few days later, the same guy pops up in the town square, rebranding himself as Roya. He's strumming a guitar by the fountain, kids dancing around, as he belts out a quirky track about Oh-jin's exploits. The song goes viral locally, boosting the mood of everyone within earshot. Selena watches from the sidelines, half grinning, while our boy stands next to her, trying to look bored but secretly intrigued. When he hears locals chatting about bringing their sick pets to him, Oh-jin suddenly decides Roya's singing isn't half bad. But then, the fallout hits. Outside Oh-jin's clinic, a mob assembles so thick it blocks the whole block. Dozens are chanting his name, waving cash and demanding checkups. Our boy freezes, realizing his chill lifestyle is officially dead. Selena, staring down the endless queue, grumbles that she should probably just quit while she's ahead. Oh-jin wakes up to a harsh reality. His tiny clinic has accidentally morphed into the town's hottest hotspot. Regular morning? Yeah, right. Outside, birds chirp like nothing's wrong, mocking the massive queue snake winding out the door. Oh-jin wraps up an exam and dismisses the patient with orders for a checkup. Selena looms over him, dropping the truth bomb. At this pace, he'll be a straight-up corpse by next week. Make that bag while you're breathing. Our boy sighs and summons the next case, realizing it's been 2 months. Clinic number 2 is booming. Guess those morning birds were good luck charms after all. The launch was brutal, total chaos. But once the cash started flowing, worth it. Suddenly, a head pops through the doorway, asking, "Y'all still open?" Selena instantly barks, "Closed," but Oh-jin waves the straggler inside. Classic softy, hands busy healing. Oh-jin's mind drifts, processing the rules of this strange new world. Outside, the gossip is all about fur babies. Coco's fasting again. Check out Mr. Whisker's red eye. Even here, cats and dogs are glued to humanity's side, though the diseases are alien. Oh-jin finally stretches his aching back, declaring himself officially wrecked. Selena drops the good news. Last one. Oh-jin perks up. "What is it?" "A shaman," she replies flatly. "Former hunters turn trendy pets. Problem is, they only love their owners and savage everyone else. Abandonment rates? Sky high." Our boy growls. People buying living things for clout need to vanish. He remembers the stats on these beasts. They grow chest high, packing claws and fangs designed to shred wild boars like wet paper. Watch your back, Selena warns. But the monster walks in a tiny, exhausted shaman pup, barely 2 months old. He's been limping since yesterday, the owner explains. Oh-jin palpates the leg. Joints this young shouldn't be failing. He checks the paw bullseye. A nasty thorn. Tweezers out, yank, disinfect. He'll be right as rain. The tiny shaman wobbles on unsteady legs. Our boy watches, silent. Even cold, Selena throws a curious glance as they exit. Oh-jin exhales, a massive sigh of relief. Freedom. Selena eyes him. You looked happy. He blinks, confused, when she asks if it was the cute fuzzball or the clocking out. Rare to see you smiling, she teases, unless cash is involved. Oh-jin shrugs. No critical cases today. That's a win. He gets real. The vet life sucks when animals suffer. Caring too much tears you apart, so he keeps his heart on ice. Flashback to his old world. A client extending a vacation while their pet waited an extra month. He remembers snapping at them. That was the turning point. Since then, he's been roasting bad owners left and right. Darkness falls. Sun's down, Selena notes. Oh-jin, thinking of the mob they served, urges her to hustle. Let's move before it's pitch black. Suddenly, a familiar face, the interview guy, appears outside, screaming for help. Oh-jin shoots Selena a look. Do you do exorcisms? She smirks. Only if I can punch the ghosts in the face. Suddenly, the guy crashes in, snatches our boy, and yeets him out the window. Selena stands there, absolutely shook. Cut to the forest. Oh-jin is face planted on the dirt. The kidnapper is apologizing profusely, rambling, claiming he didn't realize Oh-jin had zero cardio. Oh-jin gasps. Who the hell are you? Not a ghost, just a guy. I'm Schwein, he stammers. Territory civil servant. He dragged Oh-jin here because of the rumors, specifically, that miracle work with the Lord's rabbit. The mission? Catch a stray dog. Oh-jin balks. I'm a vet, not a dog catcher. Selena, materializing out of nowhere, adds, we don't do rescues. Schwein begs, you're our last shot. The T. 2 months ago, a stray claimed a strategic spot halfway up the mountain, smack in the middle of a planned hiking trail. They've tried everything to snag it, but this dog has supreme agility. Construction kicks off in 48 hours. If they fail, they send in the troops. Kill on sight order. Oh-jin goes dead silent. Finally, he whispers, where is it? He adds a disclaimer, I don't catch, I just look. Schwein nods frantically, pointing up the slope. Oh-jin cuts him off. I haven't said yes, just looking. Selena smirks, reading his soul. Oh, you're definitely doing it. Arrival. Schwein points to the lair. Suddenly snap. A noise cuts through the air, and a shaman steps out of the gloom. Oh-jin freezes, he knows this breed. Selena sighs. Everyone wants a shaman. Until they don't. It's the trendy pet catastrophe. Everyone buys them, and then tosses them like garbage. Oh-jin locks eyes with the beast, assessing the damage. He spots the signs immediately. This poor thing has been surviving solo for nearly 2 months, ribs showing, likely running on empty that entire time. Suddenly, snap. A weird noise rips through the tree line. Everyone jumps, hearts pounding, convinced some massive beast is about to charge. Our boy whips his head around, but the shaman is faster. It lets out a blood-curdling scream and launches straight at him. Selena moves like lightning, yanking our boy back just in time, and shouting that it's way too risky to be this close. But Oh-jin cuts in, dropping some serious survival knowledge. Turning your back and sprinting away from a pissed-off dog is literally the worst thing you can do. Selena argues back, saying that standing there like a statue is just an invite to get shredded. Our boy shakes his head, running just triggers the creature's prey drive. They need a distraction, fast. But before he can even finish the sentence, the shaman suddenly freezes mid-rampage. The air gets heavy. Everyone pauses, totally confused by the switch-up. Our boy frowns. Why'd he stop? He remembers Schwein, calling this thing a hunter. If a hunting dog is actually out for blood, it doesn't just walk away. But that's exactly what happens. The shaman turns tail and fades back into the woods like a ghost. Selena rolls her eyes, muttering that nobody knows what goes on inside a dog's head. Schwein pipes up, mentioning that this dog has a habit of running people off, and it's become such a massive headache that the nearby villagers are constantly blowing up his phone with complaints. Oh-jin gets that look on his face. The gears are turning. What exactly are they complaining about? He asks. Schwein paints a grim picture. The locals talk about it like it's some vicious demon stalking the mountain, a ticking time bomb they want caged immediately. Our boy processes this, then drops the million-dollar question. Has anyone actually been bitten? Schwein opens his mouth to say yes, then freezes. He admits it's 0 injuries, not a single scratch. Our boy turns to Selena. Didn't you say shamans are loyal to a fault? He asks if she still stands by that. Selena nods firmly. Absolutely. Oh-jin's eyes light up, like the puzzle pieces just fell into place. Fast forward to the next morning, Oh-jin and Selena head straight for the village, at the mountain's base. New mission. They're not here to fight a stray anymore. They're here to solve a mystery. Our boy is dead set on finding the original owner. If they want to get through to that dog, they need to know its history. Sure, throwing down some treats and setting a trap would be faster, but he knows that won't fly here. That dog is skin and bones, yet it refuses to be swayed. That's not instinct. That's a bond deeper than hunger. Walking through the village, Oh-jin can't stop thinking about the cruelty of it. He pictures owners giving that soft stay command, promising they'll be right back, only to drive off and never return. That betrayal is exactly what's breaking this shaman. Our boy has seen people dump the creatures that trust them most, and it makes his blood boil. He clenches his fist, making a silent vow. When they find the owner, there's going to be a reckoning. He's going to make them look at the mess they made and see just how much that loyal creature has suffered. They start grilling the locals, and the stories start lining up. One guy mentions a woman named Gabrielle and her husband, claiming the guy can't work because of the demon dog on the mountain. Parents are terrified, banning their kids from the woods, scared of what's hiding in the trees. Even the local teenagers are spreading horror stories. Then there's this old guy rambling about losing cash years ago, totally random, but it adds to the chaos. But one thing is crystal clear. This whole town hates that dog's guts. Hours later, they slump against a wall in a quiet alley. They're exhausted and sick of hearing the same ghost stories. Oh-jin has a hunch. What if the owner isn't even from here? Selena nods, catching his drift. Makes sense, she says. Everyone here treats the dog like a public enemy. Suddenly, a woman with long, flowing hair steps up. She's been listening. Her face is dead serious. You're looking for Jake, she says softly. He owned the dog. She motions for them to follow. She guides them to a cabin way off the beaten path, practically swallowed by the forest. Jake was a loner, she explains. Kept to himself, stayed away from the town drama. That's why nobody knows the real story. They arrive at a tiny wooden shack. She stops at a fresh mound of earth near the door. Jake passed away 2 months ago, she whispers. Caught in a landslide. He had no kin, so I handled the burial myself. Then she drops the truth bomb. Jake didn't abandon the dog. He just never came home. She admits she tried to take the dog in, but it wouldn't leave. Her voice cracks with pure heartbreak. She's practically shattering on the floor, pleading for them to save the pup she calls Max. That desperation? It hits Oh-jin like a freight train. Guilt washes over him cold and heavy as he realizes he totally misread the vibe. Our boy sends up a silent prayer for Jake to find peace, swallowing his regret before locking in. He swears on everything they are getting Max out of there, whatever it takes. Cut to the tree line. Sven spots the officers and stops dead. He wasn't expecting the cavalry until the following day, figuring they must have wrapped up their last gig way ahead of schedule. He tries to buy time, suggesting they put the hit on Max on hold until sunrise, but the officers, they aren't hearing it. One of them cuts him off. Why wait? The locals already hate the mutt. Best to scrub the problem right now. He figures nobody's gonna cry if they punch out a day early. Meanwhile, back at Jake's crib, Oh-jin steps across the threshold and gets hit instantly by the heavy aroma of medicinal herbs. Dead giveaway, Jake was definitely a herbalist. Selena suggests they grab something soaked in the owner's scent, gesturing toward some worn clothes hanging nearby. But our boy's gaze gets snagged by a framed photo on the shelf, Jake and Max, looking like best buds. It makes him wonder what kind of tragedy befell a guy who loved his dog this much. Suddenly, Selena clocks another picture on the wall and flags it. It's a snapshot of a mandrake. She pieces it together. Jake must have gone hunting for one right after that photo was taken. Our boy remembers catching a flick about those things once. Selena breaks it down. It's the screaming plant, rare, elusive, and a nightmare to harvest. Click. They both recall that ungodly shriek coming from the woods yesterday. Dangerous? Yes. But a mandrake is a gold mine, the holy grail for any herbalist. Cut to the cave entrance. Max is sitting there, eyes glued to the sky, drowning in memories of his human. Flashback to that rainy day when he and Jake ducked into this very cave. Jake was laughing at the sudden storm, debating if they should wait out the deluge. He got a fire crackling, then draped a wool blanket over Max, teasing him to sit still or risk a sniffle. Max snuggled in tight, and Jake, bone-tired but happy, grinned and said they really lucked out finding this spot. But as he scanned the cave, Jake's eyes widened, a plant clinging to the rock wall, that leaf shape. No mistake, it was a mandrake. Pure shock. He confessed he never thought he'd see one outside a textbook. Adrenaline spiking, he decided to sprint home for his tools, telling Max to stay put. I'll be right back. Max let out a soft bark, but Jake promised it wasn't far. Smiling, he stepped back into the downpour. Then, chaos. A massive landslide tore down the mountain, burying him instantly. Lights out. Time drifted on. The fire faded to cold ash. But Max? He stayed rooted to the spot. A week later, some hikers wandered through. One spotted the dog, clearly camped out for days. They assumed he was dumped and, feeling bad, tried to toss him some food. But when they got close, Max shrieked and scrambled back in terror, scaring them off. Immediately, spooked, the hikers retreated, muttering that the beast was dangerous and it was no wonder the owner ditched him. Max just crept back to his vigil, waiting for a ghost, totally unaware Jake was never coming back. Back in the now, while Max is lost in the past, the squad closes in. One officer notes the sun is dipping low, no time to waste. They need to wrap this up and hit the lodge. They square up on Max, loading tranquilizer darts heavy enough to drop a mystic. Sven is practically begging for 60 more minutes, explaining he's got a specialist incoming to handle the rescue. From what Sven's seen, Max isn't a monster. He's just a loyal boy with a heartbreaking backstory. The officer? Stone cold. He says they aren't here for story time. Their paycheck is for protecting the village, and that's the bottom line. He raises the rifle, locking onto the target. Max is panting hard, stress levels peaking. Finger on the trigger, boom! Selena and Oh-jin burst onto the scene just in time. Selena screams that this is a rescue op, not an execution. Right then, Max's vision blurs. He sees a shimmering image of his owner standing there, wearing that gentle smile. The figure whispers he's finally back for him, acknowledging the long, lonely wait. Joy floods the dog's heart, and Max steps forward, tail thumping, convinced his dad is finally home. Our boy Oh-jin steps up, voice dialed down low, admitting he isn't the one Max waited for, but whispering, "It's time to go home, buddy." Darkness swallows the forest, where a deer is sprinting for its life, hunted by something with glowing yellow eyes slicing through the gloom. A blood-curdling shriek rips through the trees, shattering the peace. Come morning, the vibe shifts inside Oh-jin's clinic, interrupted by a customer bursting in, frantic for help. Our boy looks down and sees a ping-pong panda, so incredibly chonky it can barely wobble. Oh-jin is baffled, but the owner insists the bear is wasting away, claiming he barely eats only 7 meals a day. Oh-jin sighs, warning that if this fluffball doesn't slim down fast, it's bad, real bad. The owner freezes, eyes wide with denial, while our boy just waves his hand. Next, silence fills the room until Schwein breezes in, flashing that trademark polite grin and dropping a casual greeting to our doc. Seeing him instantly triggers a flashback for Ogun Max, that mountain dog who came down alone after his human passed away. Poor thing spent days camped out by his master's grave, refusing to accept Jake was gone, breaking every heart in the village, until Schwein stepped up, visiting and caring for the pup, until Max finally let him in. Ogun shoots him a look. "What brings you here? Max, okay?" Schwein shakes his head, reaching into his bag to pull out. "A mandrake?" Selena clocks something weird immediately. That root is fully exposed, hovering above the dirt, unlike regular mandrakes that stay buried deep underground. Schwein breaks it down. Jake found this little creeper before he checked out and decided to keep it as a souvenir. But trying to replant it was a nightmare. The thing kept clawing its way out of the earth, shrieking non-stop, day and night. It got so bad, the whole village had to plug their ears, and a few poor souls even blew out their eardrums. Selena nods, knowingly classic mandrake drama. Those things are notoriously picky about their vibes. Schwein lets out a heavy sigh. The thing is unmanageable. It's only quiet right now because it's passed out cold, but the second it wakes up, total anarchy. He begs Ogun to take it, but our boy shuts him down. "Cold. I treat animals, buddy, not potted plants. And if it screams, it definitely ain't a plant." Schwein shakes his head. "It's not a plant, or an animal. It's something way worse. A demon." Ogun rolls his eyes. "If it's a demon, take it to church, not a clinic." Before they can argue, the mandrake twitches. Schwein goes full panic mode, yelling, "It's waking up." He dumps the plant and sprints out of the clinic with his crew, leaving our boy in the dust. Ogun screams curses at their backs. He's seen people dump pets before, but abandoning a houseplant? That's a new low. Selena thinks fast, trapping the mandrake under a glass shield. "Relax, boss. These things are gold mines for medicine. Leaf to root. They can literally bring back the dying." Our boy just grumbles useless if the thing is uncontrollable. Suddenly, the creature's eyes snap open. Selena shouts a warning. "Cover your ears, it's gonna blow our eardrums out." Ogun scrambles, whining about his missing noise-canceling headphones, bracing for the sonic boom. But, silence. The thing just smiles. Confused? Understatement. Selena studies it closely. "I think it likes you. Show it your necklace." He pulls it out, and the mandrake goes nuts, eyes sparkling, literally dancing, a little jig. Our boy is stunned. Selena cracks up. "It looks like one of those dancing flower toys," he grimaces. Gross comparison, Selena. But she insists he keep it in his room for now. He complains, kicks, and screams, but ends up taking the plant anyway. That night, a pounding on the door jolts him awake. He's yelling about overtime fees until a woman bursts in carrying a bloody dog. It's a bloodbath. Seeing those deep gashes, Oh-jin's face falls. This is too deep. I can't stop this kind of bleeding. Selena jumps in. The mandrake leaves. They clot blood instantly. He gives the nod, and she rushes the plant. The mandrake side-eyes her hard. She freezes. Boss? You ask him. Oh-jin groans, begging a salad for permission. Ridiculous. But he swallows his pride. The moment he asks for a leaf, the thing beams, wiggles, and starts humming a tune. Still weirded out, he grabs the leaf. It works like magic. Bleeding stops. Dog saved. The woman is sobbing with relief while our boy yawns, tells her to book a checkup, and shuffles back to bed. Barely 30 minutes later, another desperate knock shatters the silence. Now, it's a guy at the door, cradling a mauled deer, eyes pleading for a miracle. The deer is shredded. Oh-jin's expression darkens. These aren't hunting wounds. This is torture. Someone enjoyed this. Psychopath, he mutters. The villagers look confused. Is that a new type of monster? Then a quiet voice speaks up. A little girl whispers, "It's Baron Doyle's pet wolf. He does it for fun." Oh-jin's shock turns into pure rage. He starts cursing the noble out, screaming about how this is legal, demanding to see the animal protection laws. He's a baron. They shrug. He can do whatever he wants. Our boy loses it, ranting about liberty, justice, and the rule of law. He's shouting about democracy, to blank stares until Selena snaps him back to reality. Doc, the deer. 1 week later, the clinic is under siege. A massive mob is outside, screaming for the doctor to save their mangled pets. Oh-jin snaps. Exhausted and furious, he storms out, shouting, "I'm done! We can't live like this! It's time for a revolution!" Like a general, he marches the angry mob straight to Doyle's mansion, chanting anti-Baron slogans and demanding justice for the animals. They're ready for war. Until the Baron's guards step out and ask for our boy by name. "Damn, news travels fast," he grumbles, stepping into the light to drop his name. Expecting a fight, he's shook when the guards instantly bow down. They give him the VIP treatment straight into the castle. But the vibe shifts inside a massive bloodfang. Wolf is sprawled across the floor, bleeding out. Baron Doyle is hovering over it, an absolute wreck, begging Oh-jin to save his fur baby. He's promising a blank check, anything to fix him. Our boy and Selena stand frozen, eyes wide. They're staring face to face with the nightmare fuel that's been terrorizing the whole region. Fast forward a week of brutal beast attacks. The townspeople huddle up, spilling tea about some magical cryptid spotted lurking in the western forest. Word on the street? The banished wolf is toast. Now, there's a kaiju-level man-eater stalking the tree line. It leveled up from livestock to humans. Panic sweeps the crowd like a virus. Some are convinced it's game over for the village. People are packing bags to flee to the lower settlement. But the loyalists insist everyone needs to chill because Baron Doyle is on the case. He's launched a full-scale monster hunt. We're talking massive traps in the forest and soldiers patrolling 24/7. The locals are praising the Baron like he's their savior, feeling totally safe. Our boy listens to the hype, knowing it's total BS. He flashes back to the Baron, sobbing, screaming for his squad, demanding they catch the beast that hurt his baby, while his staff scramble to do damage control and hush everything up. To Oh-jin, this feels just like the media spin doctors back on Earth. Selena stands next to him, noticing the exhausted look in his eyes. Our boy connects the dots. Most of the injured critters at the clinic came from the eastern forest, right next door. But the Baron's wolf got wrecked deep in the west. Despite that huge red flag, the Baron's goons are obsessed with the western woods, totally ghosting the east. Selena's picking up on the sketchy vibes, too. Locals treat the western forest like a haunted house. Nobody goes there. While they're brainstorming, a guy from the glass workshop waves them in the custom order is ready. The syringes. We're talking mouth-blown reinforced glass spiked with albarium powder. These bad boys are heat-proof and shock-resistant. Our boy inspects the loot, blown away by the craftsmanship. He calls the tech insane, marveling that this was all done by hand. The craftsman admits it was a nightmare to make and swears he's one and done. Oh-jin drops a heavy bag of coin, locking in that partnership despite the guy's hesitation. Piece by piece, the clinic starts getting decked out with new gear. Renovations kick off. Selena inspects the layout, shook by how organized and modern it looks. Our boy smiles, thinking, now this feels like a legit hospital. One day, a dude walks in with bundles of herbs, showing off strains with wild effects. We've got instant knockout gas, stomachache cures, cough suppressants, and even a natural antiseptic. Oh-jin checks them out, totally mind blown. This stuff is god tier, rumor has it. Some can even cure fatal diseases. He grumbles that even modern medicine back home can't compete. Selena roasts him for being a skeptic. But suddenly, a girl bursts in. Screaming for Oh-jin to move, they caught the monster in the forest. Soldiers, hunting hounds, and Baron Doyle are circled around a shattered trap, with a terrifying roar echoing through the timber. The soldiers push in, yelling that the beast is cornered. As our boy steps up, the creature's massive shadow looms, only to reveal a small, angry cat hissing at them. The whole crowd goes dead silent. The soldiers hesitate, realizing it's just a random stray. But the Baron loses it, swearing this is the exact beast that traumatized his wolf. He points at its claws and teeth like they're demonic weapons. Oh-jin realizes with a sinking feeling the soldiers aren't joking. They toss a net over the kitty. It's screaming and struggling, and the Baron just laughs, ordering them to burn it alive. Our boy tries to stop it, but the Baron demands a public execution. Watching the terrified animal being dragged away, our boy flashes back to his old life. A man once rushed a battered stray into his clinic, saying he used to feed it downtown, until some psycho heard it. Oh-jin called people like that demons he hates, animal abusers more than anything. Snap back to reality. The cat shreds the net, sending the soldiers into a total panic. While they scream to trap it again, our boy's brain lights up. He screams for everyone to cover their mouths and noses right now. He points dramatically at the cat's forehead. A scar shaped like the letter M is glowing faintly above its eyes. He drops the bomb. That's the mark of a great demon, the harbinger of a global plague. The mark of Gona, the great pandemic. Oh-jin goes full theater kid, claiming the cat is a demon, the literal embodiment of the plague. He spins a tale that it started with rats, then jumped to a cat that feasted on the infected rodents, absorbing their dark magic, mutating into a supercarrier. According to our boy, this kitty is ground zero for the apocalypse. Once it spreads, he warns, half the population gets deleted. The mob, already thirsty for blood. The squad isn't buying a word of it, and even Baron Doyle starts grilling our boy, poking holes in the narrative. Oh-jin doesn't flinch, spinning a tale about a parallel dimension that battled a similar outbreak, a world defined by masks, lockdowns, and absolute anarchy. He swears this critter might be packing demonic energy, but it's just a cub young enough to be contained. Our MC claims his world found a cure, hinting the same logic applies here. He shoots a desperate look at Selena, praying she'll play along with his bluff. She doesn't miss a beat, explaining that feline blood mixed with specific herbs could synthesize an antidote. Oh-jin keeps a poker face, but internally, he's sweating bullets. The soldiers laugh it off, but before the vibe gets too hostile, the Baron cuts in. He gives Oh-jin exactly 1 week. The mission? Heal the beast, present it at the castle, and then, a public execution. Back at the clinic, our boy collapses in relief, giving major props to Selena for her clutch acting skills. But she hits him with a twist. She wasn't lying. Technically, a cure exists using the creature and mandrake roots, but we're talking a supply chain of hundreds of mandrakes. She questions his motives, warning that if this monster wakes up fully, its power level will be off the charts. Oh-jin drops the truth bomb. This cat isn't the villain. He pulls up the injury records from the village attacks, noting the claw marks don't match. The size and shape are completely wrong for a cat this small. It points to a different predator entirely. Selena connects the dots immediately. Magma, Baron Doyle's pet wolf, is the real slasher, and the cat was just throwing hands in self-defense. Our boy nods, but flags how suspicious it is that the Baron, who covered up Magma's crimes before, is suddenly framing a new beast and launching a public hunt. He smells a rat, the hunt is just a smokescreen, and capturing the cat alive is the real objective. Selena realizes this explains why Doyle wanted it taken alive, instead of just ending it, and why he bought Oh-jin's sketchy story so fast. The jab at his lying skills stings our boy, but he refocuses on the cat's condition. That forehead scar ain't natural, and the old markings on its legs scream long-term abuse. He vows to expose the nightmare this creature survived. Selena studies him, realizing he's not the cash-grabbing vet she pegged him for. There's a genuine tenderness in his hands. Until, bam, our boy aggressively snuggles the cat, burying his face in the fur and shouting about how fluffy it is. Welp, Selena's respect evaporates. She decides he's just a psycho, while the mandrake in the corner fumes with jealousy. Next morning, creepy wails echo outside. The villagers gather, trembling at the eerie noise. The rumor mill goes into overdrive. Our boy is battling a demon, purifying the plague's origin. In a matter of hours, public opinion flips, turning him into a living legend, a sorcerer from another dimension. They chant his name, hailing Kim Oh-jin as the Great Wizard. Meanwhile, totally oblivious to his new celebrity status, our boy tries to feed the cat and gets swiped across the face again. The attitude problem is annoying, but he notices the critter looks smaller. Selena observes that its size and mass have dropped over the last 3 days, speculating it's shedding demonic energy. Oh-jin shakes his head. It's just starving. Being hangry is fueling its rage, burning calories, and making it hungrier in a toxic loop. Just as our boy wishes for a choco snack, his chest tightens. The dragon's necklace activates. Light bursts forth, solidifying into a familiar, chocolatey treat. The snack zooms right into the cat's mouth, and it starts munching happily. Oh-jin sighs, feeding it with pure affection, while Selena watches, absolutely shook. As the beast eats, the scar on its forehead begins to glow. Selena freezes, the pieces of the puzzle falling into place. This was never just a cat. It's a monosaurus, the horned lion, a mythical beast that ruled when dragons vanished and mana ran wild. They were considered sacred, their horns bringing rain to deserts and light to the void. Their hearts were literal mana generators, and that forehead horn was the divine antenna for all that power. But touching them meant instant death. After the Great Mana Famine, their numbers crashed, forcing them to disguise as common cats to survive. Even weakened, they kept that divine pride, untamable by humans except for one being, the spirit of healing. Back in the room, the cat finally takes a dump, and Oh-jin cheers like a proud dad, rewarding it with more choco. Selena, still skeptical, questions the wisdom of feeding it demonic treats. Cut to nightfall. A spy reports back to Baron Doyle. Check this out. The kitty is chowing down like a total angel, while our boy cradles it like a newborn baby. But Baron Doyle? He isn't buying the cute act, straining to hear his soldiers whispering in terror. Their vibes are off the charts. They're muttering about the devil's lion and that legendary plague, dropping red flags that this beast is anything but normal. They remind the Baron that 0 humans in history have ever tamed a monoceros, not even a sick one. Worst case scenario? The mana inside them goes nuclear, turning these fluffballs into literal walking biological weapons. One wrong move, they claim, and this thing could wipe an entire nation off the map. Baron Doyle feels a chill down his spine, flashing back to Oh-jin's dark stories about a plague that devoured his home dimension, a war humanity battled for years. Then it clicks, legend says, the Manhwa War rejects all human food. Doyle starts connecting the dots, wondering if our boy is sitting on secrets nobody else in this world understands. Fast forward to the next morning. The clinic is absolutely popping. The new hire, Pio, is crushing it at the front desk, calling in patients like a pro. The energy is immaculate and super organized, exactly how a top-tier clinic should run. Meanwhile, Selena is losing her cool with a loudmouth client whose pet won't sit still. Her patience snaps. In a fit of rage, she blasts a silence spell, instantly muting the room and freaking everyone out. Oh-jin watches, jaw on the floor, as she spams the spell on another customer, turning the clinic into a silent panic zone. Then, totally out of the blue, Selena demands a half-day off and vanishes into thin air. Later, our boy finds her scribbled note, saying she's going AWOL. The handwriting is chicken scratch, which just makes him madder. He rants that even a rookie vet wouldn't pull a stunt this unprofessional. Desperate to keep the ship afloat, that is why he hits up Pio, a neighbor he knows, to cover the shift. Surprise, surprise. Pio is an absolute machine. She's handling clients, hauling heavy gear, and keeping the flow smooth with a smile on her face. Her hustle impresses our boy so much he starts thinking about putting a ring on it, employment-wise, of course. But right in the middle of the grind, Oh-jin senses a shift. The clinic, usually a zoo of animal sounds, goes dead silent. The next morning, the mystery is solved when a regular patient walks in. It is Ping Ping the hamster. Oh-jin blinks, thinking he's hallucinating. The little guy who used to weigh half a kilogram has inflated to 10 times its original size, looking more like a small dog than a rodent. Oh-jin gasps, wondering if it somehow morphed into a panda. The owner laughs it off, calling it a flopper dog. That is when our boy realizes hamsters in this dimension have a totally different brand name. The owner looks confused, asking if Oh-jin doesn't know what a flopper is. Oh-jin starts sweating, but Pio swoops in with the save, spinning a story that Oh-jin is from a distant land, which explains his weird vocab and why his medical skills are light years ahead of the locals. The owner eats it up, convinced our boy is some prestigious international scholar. Feeling proud and relieved, he hires Pio full-time on the spot. Turning his attention back to Ping Ping, Oh-jin scans the massive fluff ball. The beast seems healthy, but that size and color? Definitely suspicious. He guesses it might have soaked up some wild growth magic. While he's investigating, the cat next to him gets a serious case of jealousy and pounces on the hamster. The second they touch, bam, Ping Ping splits into 3 identical clones. The whole room freezes. Oh-jin's brain breaks, trying to process the visual, screaming internally that this defies every law of physics in the book. The owner? He is crying tears of joy, hugging the trio, sobbing that after years of being solo, Ping Ping finally has a squad. Suddenly, one of the mini-clones darts across the room, sparking a high-speed chase. These tiny things are impossibly fast. To add to the madness, Selena spawns back in, appearing out of nowhere. With ninja-like reflexes, she snatches 2 with her hands and catches the third one in her mouth. She spits it out and identifies them as bloops. When asked where he got it, the owner admits it was a gift from his dad, totally clueless about what it really was. Selena decides to keep them for research, promising the owner they'll be safe. Oh-jin jumps in, swearing the clinic doesn't do creepy experiments without permission. although inside, he is questioning why he has to be the moral compass here. Later that night, Selena drops a lore bomb. Bloops aren't natural animals. They're artificial life forms cooked up by a mad wizard ages ago. Our boy is shook, realizing even fantasy worlds have unhinged scientists playing God. Selena defends the mage, claiming he wasn't evil, just misunderstood, and his creations were never meant to hurt anyone. Oh-jin points out that bloops were supposed to be extinct for a century, so seeing one now is super weird. Curiosity takes the wheel, and he casually asks Selena exactly how old she is. Big mistake. Before she can roast him, a weird gurgling noise erupts from the Siona nearby. Our boy spins around, worried, but a sharp knock cuts him off. A soldier barks an announcement from outside, and Baron Doyle strides right into Oh-jin's clinic like he owns the place. "I'll bring out the monster." The words taste like ash in his mouth. Cold sweat drips as panic sets in. Does he stash the cat or stage a prison break? He's running on fumes. Zero prep time. The past 7 days were a blur of sleepless nights just keeping that little furball alive. Plastering on a customer service smile, our boy greets the noble, but his brain? It's screaming at Selena for ghosting him. She dipped, leaving him to face the music solo. The Baron flops down like he owns the place, totally ignoring the tea and the vibes, and demands to see the beast. Now, Oh-jin stammers, playing the medical complications card. Treatment's not done yet, sir." The Baron's eyes go cold. Doors are open, aren't they? That means the job is finished. Time to freestyle. Our boy spins a wild yarn about a botched exorcism, creating a mysterious soul imprint, binding him and the cat together forever. The Baron's goons exchange side eyes, they ain't buying it. "This kid's losing it," they mutter. He can feel the lie crumbling like wet paper. "Pivot!" He flips the script. "Speaking of cats, why is there another black one rotting in your dungeon, Baron?" Bullseye. The noble flinches. Oh-jin doubles down. "You're plotting a bait and switch with an innocent stray, aren't you?" Triggered and defensive, the Baron gaslights him hard. "Lies. Those village attacks? That's on your incompetence, not the beast." Wrong again. Our boy drops the truth bomb. "The real killer is your pet wolf." He whips out a medical chart. "See these claw marks on the victims? That's a perfect match for a wolf, not a cat." One goon snatches the receipt's rip, shredded. He laughs while our boy grinds his teeth in frustration, silently cursing that this dimension doesn't have cloud backups. Suddenly, a heavy hand shoves Oh-jin out of the way and reaches for Shionja. Hiss. The cat swipes, drawing blood. Our boy's brain goes into overdrive. Summoning a steel carrier screams suspicious, and weapons just escalate things. He grips the pendant at his throat, debating the nuclear option. Using its power could blow his cover forever. But before he can pull the trigger, crash! The door flies open. Enter the cavalry. Selena and a tall, white-haired dude, radiating main character energy. "Stand down." The command hits like a whip. The Baron's face drains of color. He knows that world tree crest. The monocle. The swagger. That's Killian, head of the Supreme Inspection Agency and guardian of the Etherian Order. Big league. The Baron stutters a greeting, trying to save face with a snide comment about royalty visiting a dump like this. "Excuse me?" Oh-jin bristles at the shade thrown at his clinic, but bites his tongue. Killian cuts through the noise. "We received a distress signal regarding an endangered divine beast." Our boy is shook. This guy is literally glowing like a 4K movie character, stepped into reality. So that's where Selena disappeared to. She steps up, handing the cage to the boss man, and realization hits. "Check the ears," pointed. Selena was an elf the whole time. "Careful, sir," she warns. "It's spicy." Killian whispers an incantation. Whoosh. A sphere of azure mana wraps around Xionja. The kitty floats, weightless. Killian zooms in on the nasty scar on its forehead, noting, it matches a World Tree branch cross-section. The signature of a mana extractor, illegal tech, used to vampire drain sacred beings. His chill vibe evaporates. He turns on the Baron, eyes blazing. "Did you sever the Monoceros's horn?" The noble shakes like a leaf, stammers a denial, and then Zoom bolts out the door in a panic. Our boy watches in awe, realizing that even the high and mighty nobles bow to elves here. It's kind of a rush. Killian muses. Only a handful of legendary weapons could inflict damage like this. He promises justice will be served and turns to Oh-jin. "Thank you for shielding this little one. We'll take it from here." But Xionja has other plans. Crack. The cat shatters the magic barrier like glass, bolts forward, and buries itself in our boy's arms, terrified of letting go. The elves are stunned. A divine beast. Cuddling a human? Xionja clings tight to Oh-jin's necklace, trembling. Killian's eyes lock onto the pendant. Click. Recognition. He whispers to his squad. So the rumors were real. And this changes everything. Our boy sweats under the gaze. It gives him flashbacks to a professor eyeing him for a miserable grad school program. Even Selena is giving him a weird look. Finally, Killian makes a call. "Keep the cat. Protocol says I drag you both to headquarters for interrogation, he explains. But since Selena vouches for you, you're good. Selena just shrugs, looking totally over it. Our boy stares, wondering how she stays so chill through all this chaos. Killian weaves another spell, conjuring a delicate necklace. The charm settles around Xionya's neck, pulsing with a soft glow intended to jumpstart the creature's drained power. It's a stand-in for that missing horn. Xionya wiggles, clearly hating the new bling. Then, one of the elves drops some lore. This enchantment isn't just jewelry, it's a panic button. If the creature gets in trouble, they'll get an instant alert. Oh-jin is floored by the tech. It's basically a magical life alert. Then Killian pulls out a ring. He offers it to our guy like it's the crown jewels, explaining that it carries the full authority of the celestial family. Plus, it comes with top-tier defense stats. Oh-jin takes it, sweating a little honored, sure, but terrified of the strings attached. Killian flashes a warm smile and insists on putting it on him personally. It's super awkward, but Oh-jin rolls with it, while the elves whisper, hyped. They claim it fits him like a glove. He stares at the shiny band, wondering if he just signed a contract with Destiny without reading the fine print. Listen, Kim Oh-jin has been single since day one, and the first ring he ever wears is… this? The elven band glows with a vibe that screams sus. It's giving him major red flags. He tries to nope out of there, apologizing and trying to give it back. Killian looks totally lost, asking, why? Our boy breaks it down. He works with his hands. Flashy accessories are just going to get in the way. Killian counters. Think of it as armor, not jewelry, while secretly thinking Oh-jin is completely clueless. Moments pass, and Oh-jin stands his ground. He keeps insisting that hand accessories are a no-go for a doctor. Killian stops arguing. Instead, he whispers a quick incantation. The ring melts into pure light, morphing into a sick tattoo right on Oh-jin's finger. Okay, that's actually fire. Killian tells him to press the mark to his heart and say the family name. Oh-jin complies, and his finger lights up. Boom. A hologram of Killian pops up right in front of him. The elf explains it's basically magical, FaceTime, voice, and video included. Then he invites Oh-jin to say the word, light. Our boy repeats it, and a laser beam shoots from his fingertip. The elves are trying so hard not to laugh. He waves his hand around like a kid with a new toy, genuinely impressed. Killian cuts in to reassure him. There are hidden features to unlock later, but the main event is the shield spell baked into it. Oh-jin says thanks, but his brain is still buffering over how a metal ring turned into a high-tech tattoo. Selena watches with a smirk, remembering how hard he fought the ring, yet now he's totally vibing with it. Killian eyes the necklace Oh-jin is wearing. When Oh-jin drops the bomb that it's from a dragon, Killian's face changes. The elves are shook. Everyone knows dragons ghosted this world 1,000 years ago. Oh-jin nods, he heard the rumors too, but explains he healed a dragon's sick pet back in the day. As payment, the dragon gave him the necklace and a ride home. Instead, he got yeeted into this world by accident. Realizing these guys are magic pros, our boy shoots his shot. Can any of you send me back? Before he can even finish the sentence, the three elves go wide-eyed and drop to their knees. They start chanting to the spirit of healing, thanking the stars for the honor of meeting him. Oh-jin freezes. Wait, do they think he's a god? He starts waving his hands. No, you got the wrong guy. He's just a regular human victim of a dragon's GPS fail. And the pet? It wasn't even that sick, just neglected. But Killian ignores the details. The point is, he's wearing raw dragon power. Oh-jin grumbles that he only took it as travel compensation for getting kidnapped across dimensions. Killian grabs his hand, dead serious. He explains the world is on the brink. Mana, the battery of life, is dying. It's fading fast. Since the dragons dipped, the energy tanked, and the divine beasts vanished with it. The world is literally withering away. If this keeps up, the next generation is toast. To fight this, the big shots formed the Etherion Order, a squad dedicated to saving the mana. Their goal? Restore balance. Our boy zones out, thinking, so, a magical EPA? But Killian keeps going. He mentions an ancient legend about the spirit of healing, a savior wearing dragon power around their neck, who would rescue the world. Suddenly, every eye locks onto Oh-jin. He points at his own chest, like, me? Killian nods slowly. They've been waiting centuries for him. Our boy tries to explain one more time that this is a huge mix-up. Too late. The elves are already bowing down, swearing their lives to the spirit of healing. The Celestian Fesho family and the Etherion Order are fighting over who gets to bodyguard him. Oh-jin feels the pressure, crushing his chest, mind racing. He wants to scream BS, that the dragon who dumped him here was totally losing it. Inside, he's roasting the creature, wondering what kind of sick cosmic prank this is. Cut to the next morning. Divine drama fades into the 9-to-5 clinic grind. A client walks in clutching a flying fish. That's grounded. No lift. Oh-jin runs the diagnostics. Nutrition stats are green. Verdict: old age. The owner's face falls. She's desperate, asking for a hack, anything to get it airborne again. Oh-jin keeps it real. Aging is the one thing you can't cure. It's a wrap. She hesitates, then spills the tea. Her bedridden dad is obsessed with these things. He used to raise a whole school, but since he got sick, they dropped like flies. Now, only Lumi is left. It was her mom's proposal gift decades ago. Flashback. When Dad proposed, he released Lumi into the night, fins glowing like a legit star. Back in the day, flying fish were basically living lanterns, huge hits at every festival. Oh-jin thinks proposing with seafood is major cringe, but Selena clarifies it was peak romance back then. The owner gives a sad smile. Yeah, times changed. After her mom passed, her dad crashed hard, and now he's a hermit, pouring all his energy into this one fish. He dropped a bomb on her recently. If Lumi stops flying, he's checking out too. Oh-jin feels the heavy vibe, like the last leaf hanging on before a blizzard. Selena? Zero chill. Just go buy a fresh one. Oh-jin is floored by her lack of empathy. The owner tears up, begging Oh-jin to fix Lumi, to keep her dad from spiraling. But Oh-jin's stuck on repeat. Lumi is perfectly healthy. She's just a senior citizen. Magic can't rewind the clock. The owner isn't hearing it. Lumi needs to fly, or her dad dies. Even though Oh-jin explains it's biology, not a bug, he realizes just how dangerous these emotional bonds are. Even in a fantasy world, pet owners are dangerously attached. Some starve themselves when their pets get sick. Others want to be buried with them. It's toxic love. Suddenly, Killian crashes the scene, demanding a promise. Before Oh-jin can even process, fade to black, eyes snap open. Just a nightmare. Morning hits, and Oh-jin greets Pio, who instantly clocks the zombie bags under his eyes. She admits she pulled an all-nighter too. She assumes he's stressing over Lumi, the grounded fish. He denies it, but she drops a theory. Maybe the fish isn't old. Maybe it's running on empty mana starvation. She remembers flying fish glowing dimmer. As the world's mana levels tanked, less mana in the air meant no lift for the fish. It clicks for Oh-jin. It's literally climate change, but with magic. The ecosystem is crashing. He flashes back to the elf, calling him the destined savior. No pressure. Selena jumps in, confirming the theory. It's not just fish. Animals everywhere are fading. What looks like aging or mystery sickness is actually mana deficiency. Her proof? Monoceros. That dude used to be a lion. Oh-jin looks at Sionia, his tiny cat was a lion. He tries to picture a massive lion grooming itself like a house cat. Brain blast. He asks Pio, what sickness hits the fish guardians? She answers, brittle bones, easy fractures. Oh-jin pivots to Selena. What's the standard prescription? She rattles off Bloomroot for bones, Bloodroot for pain, plus some fillers. Side effects? Fatigue and numb nerves. Selena shrugs. Bingo. Oh-jin realizes that's the real problem. He needs a countermed. Selena says it exists, but it cancels the pain meds. Oh-jin doesn't care, he needs the recipe. Selena jerks a thumb behind her. The ingredient is the mandrake. He walks up. The mandrake makes a sour face. Oh-jin tries to be chill. Just need a few leaves, buddy. The plant lets out a scream so loud the whole squad, Selena, Pio, and Oh-jin, grabs their ears in pain. Then the scream turns into sobbing. Oh-jin is frustrated. Pio whispers, it feels neglected, because you've been obsessing over Sionia. Oh-jin admits he has zero plant skills. Just name it, Pio urges. He stalls, and the mandrake wails harder. Defeated, he blurts out, fine, you're Kim Mandel. The sobbing plant suddenly pulls a 180, grooving like it's at a rave. Oh-jin snags 2 leaves, totally weirded out by how clingy and affectionate the wildlife is in this dimension. Selena's lurking in the background, analyzing the vibe. Let me see that chain, she demands, snatching the necklace to run a quick inspection. Looks like standard jewelry to her. But the second she wears it and reaches for Zionja and Mandel, they hiss and snap total don't touch me energy. Okay, so it's biometric or something, Selena figures. It's locked to you. How do you even trigger the magic? Oh-jin shrugs. I just focus. My chest gets all tight, like a pressure buildup, and then whoosh, the energy dumps out. It's linked to your heartbeat, she realizes. Oh-jin adds, yeah, and when I touch it, these guys swarm me like I'm a walking all-you-can-eat buffet. He pops open a churu stick for Zionja, and the creature goes feral for the treat. That's when Selena spots it, the faint, ethereal glow. Her eyes widen. He isn't just giving them snacks. He's unconsciously funneling his own mana straight into their systems. Massive red flag. That kind of soul link isn't just rare, it's a death sentence if he's not careful. Meanwhile, the scene cuts. Pio bursts in, holding a fresh brew. Mash the leaves? Boss, the potion is live. Want me to whip up another batch? Do it. Oh-jin nods. Selena stays quiet, watching him from the shadows. The weird aura, the way nature bends to his will, the way the world literally simps for his presence. It's unnatural. For the first time, she thinks, Is this guy actually the legendary spirit of healing? Smash cut to L'Oreal's mansion. She walks into her dad's room with his daily dose, only to drop everything in panic. He's sprawled on the floor. She scrambles to lift him, realizing he tried to stand just to get Lumi closer to the window view. I'm fine, he wheezes, despite looking like he might shatter. L'Oreal is frantic. His bones are practically glass right now. One bad fall could end it, she cries. But he just smiles sadly. My timer is running out regardless, sweetheart. She argues that he can still get better, but he shakes his head. Death doesn't just come from sickness, he murmurs. It comes when you give up hope. That breaks her. Tears start streaming as she begs him to quit the doom talk, but the old man just won't back down. Just then, Oh-jin crashes the party with Selena, Pio, and the whole squad, totally shattering the heavy mood. He drops a massive truth bomb. People don't just drop dead from fate. They die because of bad intel, sketchy prescriptions, and zero self-care. Laurel and her dad almost jump out of their skin at the sudden invasion. Our boy steps up and sets the record straight. Lumi isn't grounded because of old age. She's suffering side effects from the dad's own meds. The old man looks totally lost, insisting he's the one popping the pills, not his pet fish. But Oh-jin breaks it down. Flying fish never lose those aquatic grooming instincts. They instinctively clean the ones they love. While Lumi was meticulously grooming her owner's hair and beard, she was soaking up toxic residue right through her skin. It clicks for Laurel. She remembers all those nights Lumi spent nestled against her dad, literally brushing against poison. The truth hits the old man like a truck. He grumbles that explains why his beard was always weirdly glossy. Oh-jin nods and whips out the syringes, revealing the custom cure he cooked up in the lab. He promises the fish will be back to full power in 48 hours, prompting the dad to joke he'll shave himself bald to stop this from happening again. Time to operate. Our boy gets to work, grabbing each fish with steady hands. Pio wrestles them still so Oh-jin can administer the shot. Once they're done, Oh-jin smirks. This stuff works fast. Almost instantly, Lumi twitches, then shoots into the air, glowing with a faint aura as she glides toward her owner. The dad stares, terrified it's a hallucination. Then, it's a chain reaction. Every fish starts glowing neon blue and lifting off, turning the room into a shimmering ocean of light. Laurel and her father watch, mesmerized. The dad is instantly transported back to the day he proposed to her mom, surrounded by soaring, glowing fish, just like this. Cradling Lumi in his hands, the old man is completely overcome with emotion. Pio watches from the shadows, realizing the glow isn't just the cure, it's a reaction to Oh-jin's blood and mana. This guy is not normal. Selena connects the dots too, wondering if Oh-jin is actually the legendary figure from the prophecy, the spirit of healing. Later, Selena links up with Killian to break down the situation. Killian is convinced. He claims Oh-jin's bond with the Monaceros is the smoking gun that proves the prophecy is real. But Selena hesitates, questioning why Killian let our boy keep a ring that doesn't belong to him. Killian waves it off, insisting the original owner would have given Oh-jin the thumbs up anyway. He reveals the bigger play. Rumors of the spirit of healing will go viral, baiting the hidden villains out of the shadows. It clicks for Selena. That is why they let Baron Doyle walk. He is just bait to expose the real puppet masters. Killian promises Oh-jin is safe, noting it is no accident. Selena crossed paths with him in this specific village. Selena thinks back to her first encounter with our boy, remembering how he casually took down a giant rabbit while rocking that mysterious necklace. She admits he is built different, but she is still not sold on him being the Messiah figure. Killian tells her to stay sharp, reminding her the prophecy isn't just about saving the world, it warns about the hell they have to go through first. Cut to a quiet morning at the clinic. A blob called the Bloop is vibing on a leaf again. Our boy spots it and gets annoyed that thing was discharged a week ago. Why is it squatting in his office? Turns out, Selena is babying the creature. She claims she is just looking after one of the 3 bloops, but she is handling it way too roughly, forcing our boy to intervene. He drops some lore. Bloops come in 2 flavors: core types with a brain in their head, and non-core types that multiply like crazy. Core types are stable, but the one Selena is messing with has no core. Stress it out, and it clones itself instantly. Selena confirms it is super sensitive to pressure. Oh-jin starts sweating bullets. He knows the risks. If these things multiply unchecked, they can wipe out entire villages. It has happened before. Keeping a ticking biological time bomb next to volatile monsters like the Mandrake and Sionia feels totally reckless. He realizes Selena didn't even ask the owner. She just grabbed the creature herself, pretending it was cooperation. Pio watches the tension rise and suggests maybe they should back off before things get messy. Suddenly, Oh-jin remembers a dark fact. Elves cover their ears to hide criminal brands burned into their skin. It starts adding up. Selena's aggressive vibe, her dodging questions, her recklessness. It screams fugitive. Oh-jin seriously considers kicking her to the curb right then and there. But the clinic is slammed, and he needs the extra hands, so he decides to let it slide for now. Before he can spiral, Selena calls out that they are open for business. Meanwhile, trouble brews at Baron Doyle's castle. The Baron is sweating bullets over a glowing monocrystal call. On the other end, a shadowy figure demanding to know why the Etherion Order just crashed the party at Oh-jin's clinic. The Baron stammers, explaining they kicked down the door, started raving about a divine beast, ruined his operation, and then just dipped. Shadow Guy loses it, accusing the Baron of fumbling the bag and letting the Order swipe the Monoceros. The Baron is pleading for a second chance, swearing he'll fix it. Then he drops the bomb. He doesn't need to steal the beast because it's already chilling with Kim Oh-jin. The boss is shook. Everyone knows a Monoceros usually attacks humans on sight, but the Baron doubles down. The beast is literally following Oh-jin like a puppy. Shadow Guy snaps, ordering a total cover-up. Everyone who saw anything needs to be silenced. He calls the Baron a useless amateur and cuts the feed, leaving the Baron seething. Still reeling from the verbal beatdown, he barks at his butler to drag Theodore and Alex back in. Doesn't matter that they're on vacation. The butler nervously reminds him the duo is on PTO because they were whining about burnout. The Baron explodes vacation over. He demands they return immediately. This mess is spiraling out of control. Meanwhile, down at the marketplace, the tea is piping hot. Rumors about the Etherion Order are spreading faster than a viral tweet. Locals are freaking out, claiming they saw the legendary squad in real life, and wondering why the holy big shots would visit a rundown clinic in the boonies. The word on the street is they were hunting a rare divine species. The theories are getting wild. Some folks are convinced Oh-jin isn't just a vet, but an otherworldly traveler with main character energy. Others swear they saw him body slam a mana beast and tame a divine creature with his bare hands. The guy is built different. Truth and hype are blending together until the whole town is buzzing. But as the sun sets, the gossip takes a weird turn. People start branding Oh-jin as the spirit of healing, a figure from ancient lore that was definitely supposed to be a waifu, not a husbando. But now the script has flipped. They claim the spirit is a dude, and whoever gets on his good side is basically destined to rule the world. A stunner with long pink hair is breaking down the rumors with her brunette friend. She muses that this gender swap twist changes the whole prophecy game. Meanwhile, over in the bougie district of Montval, Adrian rolls up to his high-end clinic, expecting the usual VIP rush, but the place is a ghost town. It's dead silent. His butler breaks the bad news. 0 clients since breakfast. Adrian immediately suspects Count Downey is pulling strings to sabotage him. He swears he'll clap back hard. But then his assistant whispers, the real issue everyone's checking out, that new spot in Belmore, Oh-jin's clinic. Adrian laughs it off, totally convinced that high-class nobles wouldn't be caught dead at a peasant's shop. But his confidence crumbles instantly when the bombshell drops. Lady Marianne canceled her appointment to go see Oh-jin instead. That reality hits him like a truck, and the rage takes over. He slams his fist on the mahogany desk and demands his carriage. He's about to pull up on the guy responsible for this disrespect. Adrian is the ultimate Nepo baby born rich, genius IQ, insane talent, and a face card that never declines. So, everyone thought it was weird when he decided to become a vet. But his reason was simple. He had a soft spot for people who were obsessed with their pets. He'd turn on the charm, reassuring panicked owners that their fur babies would be just fine, loving the ego boost from playing hero. Adrian was strict about keeping business and pleasure separate, except for one person, Lady Marianne Astrid. The second she walked through his doors, he was a goner. He convinced himself the universe made him a vet, just so he could treat her unicorn. But that fantasy turned into bitter jealousy the moment he found out she picked some random commoner to treat Lulu. Furious, he shuts down his clinic early and speeds off to the Astrid estate. At the mansion, Marianne's mom greets him with a fake smile and zero interest, asking why he's crashing their place uninvited. Adrian tries to play it cool, acting concerned for Lulu. He implies that letting some random nobody touch a sensitive unicorn is totally irresponsible, but the mom cuts him off with a smirk. Kim Oh-jin isn't a random guy, she is a woman. That stops Adrian in his tracks. The mom adds that despite being a commoner, this Oh-jin girl has god-tier skills, and is so drop-dead gorgeous people call her a fairy. This throws Adrian off, and his brain starts spiraling. What kind of woman gets compared to a fairy? Is she a blonde bombshell or a mysterious goth beauty? His daydream crashes when the mom laughs. She just made that whole story up to see how he'd react, and snaps her fingers for security to toss him out. Humiliated, Adrian tries to argue he's not some woman-obsessed creep, just loyal to Lady Marianne. The mom finds that hilarious as the servants drag him out the door. Back in his carriage, Adrian is fuming. He's done playing games, he's going to meet this Kim Oh-jin face to face. He thinks he's the unicorn whisperer. He knows beasts judge by scent, and they absolutely hate the stench of blood and sweat. And let's be real, unicorns can be super aggressive toward men, but they love cleanliness and fancy scents. So Adrian figured his obsession with grooming made him the perfect candidate. He recalled all the sweat and tears it took to earn a unicorn's trust, developing this whole strategy of bathing twice a day and rocking the exact same perfume as their owner. It worked like a charm. Right after that, he bet everything that some scruffy, clueless commoner would reek enough to trigger Lulu's rage mode. That would be his cue to swoop in, like a total hero, saving the day right in front of Marianne. Just imagining the glory made him blush and giggle to himself, completely oblivious to his coachman, giving him the side eye from the front seat. When Adrian's carriage rolled up to Belmore, a massive crowd was already swarming the clinic, buzzing with excitement over the rare unicorn sighting. Adrian grabbed the popcorn, ready to watch our boy crash and burn in spectacular fashion. But that confidence shattered instantly when he saw our boy just chilling on Lulu's back. The unicorn looked totally zen. The crowd lost their minds, and even Marianne had to admit, she had never seen Lulu let anyone else ride her like that. Adrian froze, his brain refusing to process the scene. He started coping hard. It had to be a trick, probably some dark magic from that elf woman standing next to Oh-jin. But that theory died instantly when Lulu suddenly snapped and bit the elf's arm, leaving her stunned into silence. Oh-jin immediately jumped into action, treating the injury and clearing out the spectators, while hushed whispers spread through the crowd. Refusing to leave with his tail between his legs, Adrian decided to go full spy mode. He spotted an open window and scaled a nearby tree, channeling his inner varsity climbing champ from the academy days. Peeking through the window, he watched our boy treat the elf's bite, calmly applying herbs, and wrapping it with a technique Adrian had never seen before. But then, Adrian squinted. There was a strange crest glowing faintly on Oh-jin's hand. His jaw hit the floor as he recognized it, the symbol of House Celestian, literally the most elite elven family in existence. He stared blankly, realizing this commoner vet was rocking the mark of the highest elven bloodline. Inside, Oh-jin notices a faint mark on Selena's hand while bandaging it up, and quickly realizes the situation is way more serious. What looked like a minor scratch is actually laced with poison from the creature's saliva. He tells them straight up, they dodged a bullet. Selena thinks back to the creature's earlier outburst, noting that it showed way too much hostility, which is super rare for its species. Marianne apologizes for the drama and insists on footing the medical bill, but our boy shuts it down, admitting they let their guard down. When Marianne points at Selena and asks if she's part of the clinic staff, Oh-jin explains she's the assistant doctor, handling the prescriptions and all the heavy lifting around the place. Marianne nods, acknowledging the setup, then throws a little shade saying the clinic looks tiny. For a vet with his reputation, that comment sends our boy into a war flashback of his old office. Right after that, he remembers the cramped, noisy nightmare with a clogged toilet, busted heating, and non-stop whining about animals. Before he can spiral, Marianne interrupts, sympathizing with his past grind, and hyping up his achievements. She gets all flustered, and suddenly drops a bombshell suggestion. Her family could sponsor a massive upgrade for the clinic, leaving our boy totally confused if this is a business deal, or if she's making a move. Before the tension can settle, Lulu suddenly snaps and lunges at Pio, throwing the room into total chaos. Both Marianne and our boy scramble to restrain them, while Selena points out that unicorns, despite looking like monoceros, usually vibe well with smaller creatures. Marianne gets offended instantly at the implication that Lulu is the problem, and suddenly she and Selena are trading verbal jabs. Accusations fly about manners, bribed reservations, and rich kid entitlement. Pio grumbles that nobles are built different, earning a death stare from Marianne. As things heat up, Lulu starts thrashing wildly, slamming into a bookshelf and knocking it over. Suddenly, crash, the window shatters and Adrian comes flying through, face planting on the floor hard. Everyone freezes as Selena catches the falling bookshelf mid-air like a superhero. They just stare in disbelief, wondering if the intruder is even breathing. Adrian lifts his head, bloodied but grinning, and greets Marianne with exaggerated relief. While Marianne is shook to her core, Pio yells, demanding to know who this guy is. Adrian stands up and introduces himself grandly. As Adrian Heavencrown kisses Pio's hand and gives a speech about protecting all beautiful life, Oh-jin watches, disgusted by the theatrical entrance, thinking this guy acts like a clout-chasing influencer. When asked why he smashed through a window, Adrian gets indignant, insisting he is Lulu's primary physician and accusing our boy of mistreating her. The accusation turns into a screaming match instantly. Oh-jin insists Lulu is fine, while Adrian calls him a fraud and even brands him a scheming bastard. Totally confused, Oh-jin turns to Selena for an explanation. She breaks it down. It's basically an insult for a toxic player, the kind who baits people like a Venus flytrap. The realization hits our boy way too late, leaving him absolutely shook. Marianne steps in, roasting Adrian for his trash talk. But Adrian doesn't let up, grilling Oh-jin about his dating history. Right in the middle of this interrogation, Adrian spots a mark on Oh-jin's hand and throws shade, accusing him of having secret noble ties or something way sketchier. Pio loses it and yells that it's gotta be an engagement ring. The whole squad stares at our boy in shock. Panicked, he stammers that it was a gift from some guy named Killian, which honestly just makes the vibe weirder. But before the questions can fly, Lulu starts shaking like crazy, cold sweat slicking her coat. A split second later, she crashes to the ground. The team scrambles. Oh-jin is on it instantly, checking her vitals. Pupils are good, breathing is heavy, but she's stable. He barks at Pio to grab a candle and a stethoscope, his brain already solving the puzzle. Adrian watches the scene, then drops a truth bomb. Lulu isn't sick, she's pregnant. He gives her a once-over, and confirms she's definitely expecting. Marianne is in total denial, refusing to buy what he's selling, swearing the unicorn has been on total lockdown in the castle greenhouse. No way this is happening. Selena backs Adrian up, pointing out Lulu's recent mood swings and how paranoid she's been acting. Classic baby mama drama. Oh-jin whips out a device to listen inside the body. Marianne follows his lead and, through the earpieces, catches Lulu's rhythm, then hears a second, tiny flutter echoing from her belly. The shock is too much. She faints dead away, Adrian barely catching her. Meanwhile, our boy casually introduces the gadget as a stethoscope. Adrian is low-key blown away by the tech, impressed by how it amplifies even the quietest noises. Teaming up, Adrian and Oh-jin estimate Lulu is about 4 months deep. Marianne wakes up and immediately rejects reality again, insisting Lulu hasn't stepped a hoof outside the greenhouse. That just makes the mystery juicier, since the unicorn was under house arrest, prepping for an arranged marriage with Prince Theo's elite stallion, Shark. But despite the security, the baby bump doesn't lie. Lulu gets rushed to a makeshift ICU, where Oh-jin hooks her up with fluids and electrolytes, via IV, to fight off the dehydration from all that morning sickness. The squad watches, mesmerized, stunned by how the medicine goes straight into the blood, skipping the stomach entirely. A heavy silence falls, as Marianne tries to wrap her head around the mess. Selena cuts the tension, figuring the date with the prince's horse. Would have flopped anyway. Unicorns are picky daters, most stay single forever, unless they find the one. Once in a blue moon, a power couple produces a legendary hybrid, shining like pure gold. Adrian pitches sending Lulu to the palace as a royal flex, to break the news to His Highness personally, betting the prince would be hyped about such a rare beast. Selena shuts that down real quick. She reminds them hybrid unicorns are basically urban legends, and they still don't know who the baby daddy is. Adrian lists the elite stallions in Lady Marianne's stable, suspecting an inside job. Siegfried the speed demon, Tara the tank, Dolly, the charmer, and Black Thunder the muscle. Marianne finally admits they need to find the father before making any moves. Adrian offers to play detective, but Marianne turns to Oh-jin, hoping his medical genius can solve the riddle. He shuts it down, stethoscopes can't. Do paternity tests. Adrian steps back in, pointing out that Oh-jin's gut instincts and care for Lulu make him the best man for the job. Selena chimes in, the answer might be right under their noses, because pregnant unicorns usually freak out when away from their boo, but Lulu was chill the whole trip. Connecting the dots, Marianne realizes Lulu only started tweaking after they arrived. The clue is in the destination. Over at the stable, Joseph is grooming a scruffy mongrel horse, oblivious to the drama. When Lulu spots the colt, she loses it. She bolts toward him, snuggling up like they're long-lost lovers. Everyone's jaw drops. Marianne looks like she's gonna be sick. A royal unicorn. Shacking up with a basic mixed breed? Our boy whispers that it looks like a soap opera, where the rich mom hates the bad boy boyfriend. Adrian watches the PDA and confirms that against all odds, it's true love. Marianne argues the colt is just a kid, but Oh-jin shrugs, the heart wants what it wants. And that tearing them apart is basically a death sentence for both the mother and the unborn foal. The cold, hard facts leave Marianne completely tongue-tied. Her mind spins, struggling to process the glitch in her reality. A unicorn, the ultimate icon of purity and grace, is hopelessly down bad for a basic, run-of-the-mill stable horse. Once the scandalous truth about Lulu and her bow drops, Marianne's father corners Joseph. He tears into the young man, calling it absolute insanity to let a filthy carriage horse anywhere near a divine unicorn. Joseph pleads ignorance, swearing he had zero clue about the forbidden romance. But the Count isn't buying it, accusing him of running a scam to cash in on the situation. He shuts down every excuse, completely deaf to Joseph's desperate denials. He barks an order to throw both Joseph and the horse behind bars, promising that real punishment is on the docket. The maids start murmuring in the shadows, agreeing that the Count is way out of line. Joseph's innocent, right? Then the tea spills. They point out that you literally cannot police animal attraction. The gossip shifts to the bigger picture. Why was Lulu slated for a one-way trip to the royal palace in the first place? It clicks for some of them. She was totally a bribe for the upcoming crown princess election at the end of the year. Meanwhile, they drag Marianne into the convo, noting how Lulu could have been living that high-end royal life if the plan hadn't gone off the rails. But nope, she ended up slumming it with a carriage horse. One maid throws shade, whispering that Lulu probably takes after her owner, a subtle burn implying plenty of folks don't really know the real young lady Marianne. Just then, another maid hisses at them to zip it. Suddenly, chaos erupts. A maid bursts in with terrifying news. Lulu is crashing fast. She is hacking up blood. Marianne sprints to Lulu's side, demanding a status update. The maid explains the poor creature hasn't touched food due to severe morning sickness, and now she is purging blood. Selena's warning flashes in her mind. Pregnant unicorns get dangerously stressed when ripped away from their mates. Lulu is literally heartbroken, and her body is shutting down. The maid warns that if this keeps up, it is going to be fatal. Desperate, Marianne demands an ETA on Ogden, but the maid shakes her head, saying they sent an SOS this morning, but he is stuck miles away. Gritting her teeth with new resolve, Marianne decides to hunt down a local vet and commands them to bring the carriage horse immediately. The handler drags the animal along, urging it to pick up the pace, while the maids gag and complain about the stench. They snark that jail is no excuse for being filthy. He should have been scrubbed down before getting anywhere near the young lady. The handler insists it is a code red emergency. Marianne snaps, silencing the chatter, and orders the horse inside. The second Lulu locks eyes with him, she bolts forward, pressing her body against his in pure relief. Marianne calls for warm water, declaring she will groom him herself. The maids gasp, clutching their pearls, but she tunes out the drama and orders soup for the unicorn. She starts wiping the grime off the horse with a warm towel, realizing he is just a gentle soul. It hits close to home, triggering memories of how her own parents once nuked her relationship with a merchant's son. She muses that Lulu could have had the VIP lifestyle, draped in jewels, but wonders if this raw, simple love is what Lulu actually craves. Right on cue, our boy bursts onto the scene. He stabilizes Lulu, explaining that while animals have types, they don't do social climbing. Lulu doesn't see herself as a queen above a peasant horse. He hooks Lulu up to an IV and assures Marianne that simply vibing with her soulmate is all the happiness she needs. A bit later, as he administers the meds, he warns that this is just a band-aid, not a cure. The only real fix is letting the lovebirds stay together. Marianne quietly nods. Our boy packs up, saying he has got to bounce back to the clinic, where a line of patients and his assistant are waiting. Even though he secretly low-key doubts she actually cares, Marianne assures him she gets the picture and will handle the aftercare. As they look up, they spot Adrian awkwardly hugging a tree branch, looking totally uncoordinated, trying to get down. He finally flops to the ground, apologizing for being rude, but our boy claps back, calling his climbing skills a literal crime. Adrian insists he was just scaling the tree to check on Lulu and planned to dip right after. Marianne reminds him he should have just asked the staff. Adrian claims he tried but got blocked at the door. Spotting the gadget in Adrian's pouch, Ogden IDs it as a stethoscope and roasts him for how cheap it looks. Adrian, blushing, admits it is still in beta mode. Our boy drops some wisdom, get real gear if you want to be a doc, then heads out to tackle his insane schedule. Adrian watches him leave, thinking Ogden is actually a solid dude. Meanwhile, our boy is thinking the exact opposite, marking Adrian down as a total weirdo. That evening, Lulu finally starts grazing on her own and regaining strength, taking a huge weight off Marianne's shoulders. Adrian comments that love and vibes are the ultimate cure, and gives her props for getting her hands dirty to help. Marianne reflects that her own stubborn ego caused this mess, admitting she should have played matchmaker way sooner. She realizes she might have been jealous of her unicorn, remembering a time when she was just as innocent as Lulu. Over time, she got addicted to the high life, judging everyone by their bank accounts. Adrian shrugs it off, claiming all nobles are built that way. But Marianne starts having flashbacks to her first love back when clout didn't matter, and she only cared about the sparkle in his eyes. She fumbled that relationship for mutual happiness, and now asks the room if she's actually happy or just faking it. Adrian hits her with a reality check. First loves always crash and burn, and that trauma blocks you from seeing the real ones right in front of you. He hints that her soulmate is basically in the room. Marianne looks dazed, finally realizing she's been sleeping on something major, and drops a bombshell she's quitting the princess selection. Adrian thinks it's go time, and secretly palms a ring box. Sensing the vibe shift, he feels this is his main character moment, slides the box over, and clears his throat to confess. But plot twist, she declares she's gonna shoot her shot with Oh-jin. Adrian glitches out, ears ringing, praying he heard that wrong, and asks her to repeat that madness. Marianne doubles down, saying she'd rather be the boss herself than marry a guy who already has the power. Leaving Adrian paralyzed, she wraps up the chat, thanking him for the therapy session, and hitting him with the Let's Be Friends card. Adrian is absolutely wrecked and swears eternal vengeance on Oh-jin. Cut to the clinic, Oh-jin sneezes right as Pio reads a memo. Kyo is getting hired as Lulu's +1, and they want Oh-jin as the VIP doctor. The offer includes 10 times the usual pay, serious cash on the table, but our boy says pass. He explains he's too booked and busy at the hospital to chase the bag elsewhere. Pio groans that this plaque is stubborn as hell after an hour of scrubbing. Oh-jin checks the patient, a snake getting a deep clean, spots the buildup, and orders a saline blast plus some anti-inflammatory prep. While he's in the zone, he finds debris jammed in the gums and yanks out a foreign object. The owner starts freaking out with joy, revealing that this pet, Shamir, is a legendary beast gifted by the late king, a total family flex, and it just coughed up their missing heirloom. Our boy is unbothered, noting there's still tartar and some teeth gotta go, estimating another 1 or 2 hours. Selena corrects him, make it 5 hours. This beast has a second head. Surprise, Oh-jin looks ready to cry. The owner tries to hype him up, whipping out a fan art painting of Oh-jin and Shamir. The owner explains, it's an official masterpiece by their artist, and asks if Oh-jin digs it. Oh-jin thinks it's hideous and wants to decline, but the artist is pushy, promising to finish it soon because he's finally found a muse. Mid-conversation, Shamir's eyes snap open. Selena clocks it instantly. Oh-jin tenses up, did they skimp on the tranquilizers? Selena preps a shield spell, fast, but Adrian dives out of nowhere, blocking her. The spell smacks him instead of the monster. Selena's confused. Wait, isn't that the noble doctor? Why is he even here? No time to think. Shamir unhinges its jaw, swallows Adrian whole, and gulps him down. The room goes dead silent. Everyone is rebooting their brains. Did a dude just get eaten? Meanwhile, the clinic is officially closed, but the line outside is massive. People are salty, complaining they traveled miles for the miracle doctor, while others debate hitting up the rival hospital. And there's Adrian, watching from the shadows, simmering with rage. He can't stand Oh-jin breaking hearts while playing the spirit of healing. He flashes back to a chat with his aide. The aide described the spirit of healing as a god-tier entity that grants world domination. Adrian laughed it off, thinking Marianne was gullible for buying into that mythology, and believing he was way more spirit-like than Oh-jin could ever be. His mind drifts back to the stories Oh-jin fixing a flying fish, turning a demon into a house cat. Legit miracles. The stethoscope around his neck, a gift from our boy, feels heavy. He remembers Oh-jin asking if he still kept it. Adrian played it cool, acting like he didn't care, asking if there was a spare. The aide confirmed it. Now, perched in a tree with binoculars, Adrian claims he's just here to return the gear, but we know he's obsessing. Below, our boy is treating a hydra, 2 heads bobbing weakly as he scrapes gum gunk, rinses, and medicates. Adrian watches, and against his will, he's actually impressed, realizing our boy's skills are light years ahead of his own, even though Adrian was the valedictorian at the academy. Suddenly, the hydra's tail twitches. The anesthesia is wearing off. Adrian sees the danger before anyone else. As the creature lunges at Selena, he sprints to play hero, and chomp. The hydra eats him in one bite. The crowd gasps. Oh-jin freezes, processing the chaos while the owner starts screaming. Selena realizes Adrian is currently digestion-bound and preps a spell, but our boy shuts it down. Zoom in. The hydra's tongue has gone completely purple, airway obstructed. It choked on something massive. Muscle memory kicks in. Owen and Selena sync up instantly. On his signal, she delivers a calculated, heavy strike. It's a monster-sized Heimlich. The beast spasms, and with one final blow, Adrian gets launched out like a cannonball. The hydra gasps, lungs refilling. The crowd goes wild, hyping our boy's god-tier medical skills. Owen barks orders. Check the victim. Selena confirms Adrian is breathing, but the guy is out cold. Thanks to that twin magic link, Owen notices Shamir's vitals leveled out the second the hydra stabilized. The impact left some nasty bruising on the scales. Selena slaps on some ointment and schedules a dressing change for later. Our boy turns to the owners. Real talk time. If your pet eats something it shouldn't, that's 100% on you. They swallow the hard truth, swearing to do better. They even nervously joke about banning human snacks from the diet. A few days later, a package arrives from the Baron. A painting dubbed The Great Rescue Operation. Owen calls it cringe, but it gets worse. They actually commissioned a statue of him pulling Adrian from the beast's maw. Total insanity. The world's lost the plot. Meanwhile, Adrian's snoozing through the drama. Pio and Selena are on vigil duty. Finally, Adrian's eyes flutter open. Total confusion. Who? What? Where? Flashbacks hit him hard. Spying on the clinic, the snake snapping, diving in to save Selena. Then, darkness. Being gulped down whole. He remembers thinking, ironic way for a vegetarian to go. Even considered his next life, maybe coming back as a unicorn with a hot heroine wouldn't suck. Then, agony spikes. Is this birth pain? He begs for it to stop, hacks up a lung, and the coughing drags him back to reality. Selena's hovering. You're awake. Adrian's head is spinning. Is she his owner in this new life? She pushes him back down. Chill. The magic residue is gonna make you dizzy. Nausea incoming. He needs a 72-hour detox. Adrian nods weakly. Then, our boy walks in with a steaming brew. Sit up, drink this. No room for argument. It's a recovery cocktail, bottoms up. Adrian chugs it. Owen mentions a secret ingredient, Mandel leaves. He drops the news. Astrid Manor knows he's here. Crash here for a few days, Owen offers. Adrian tries to decline, not wanting to be a burden, but our boy shuts him down. Doctor's orders, health over pride. Adrian is genuinely touched. Owen steps out to let him rest. Adrian watches the door close, feeling a wave of respect. This guy is legit. Adrian feels embarrassed about his past jealousy, vowing to be a better man, until he spots a paper on the nightstand. Invoice. Loading fee, 500 silver. Meal fee, 100 silver. The grand total reads 66.8 to 6 silver. Adrian stares at the numbers and curses Owen under his breath. Cut to the lobby. A couple is freaking out. Is our fox swapping genders? Owen sighs. It's a metaphor, guys. We're talking neutering. The couple gasps, calling it barbaric. Owen keeps his cool. He hits them with facts. The fox is drained. Raising kits is brutal work, and energy is dropping. The female is wrecked from overbreeding. Got a better idea? He challenges. But she's so young, they whine. Owen asks if they want to calculate the population explosion in 5 years, or if they're secretly running a puppy mill. They deny it, but pivot to emotions. What about her joy? Her pleasure? Our boys heard this script a million times. Constant mating isn't fun. It's rapid aging. It kills their lifespan and ruins their vibe. Faced with logic, the couple crumbles. Pio handles the booking. Our boy is low-key annoyed he almost had to do the admin work himself. He's over it, repeating the same advice is exhausting. Pio interrupts his mood. VIP client incoming, my childhood friend. Be nice. Owen promises to behave. A girl walks in, cradling a massive chicken. Checkup time. Owen scans the bird, feathers gleaming. This bird is radiating health. Pio chimes in. That's Pop, the alpha of the flock. The girl beams. 20 minutes of diagnostics later, Owen gives the verdict. This champ is fit for the prime chicken contest. But the owner isn't sold. He looks skinny, she mumbles. Owen checks the stats, false alarm. She pivots. He had a seizure while sleeping. Our boy shakes his head, likely just dreaming. She presses on, but his throat was sore. Flashback to the scare, Pio is doing damage control, assuring Tia that infection anxiety is totally normal. But after a rigorous scan, Oh-jin gives the all clear, finally letting her breathe easy. But the peace is short-lived. Pio bursts in, panic written all over his face. Pop is MIA. Tia claims she made a quick pit stop at the restroom before heading out, and poof, Pop vanished into thin air. Oh-jin immediately goes into lockdown mode, ordering every exit and window sealed tight. Selena commands the waiting room crowd to freeze, announcing a missing animal emergency. The patients start grumbling, complaining that their fur babies get super antsy if they're cooped up too long. Sonia steps in to de-escalate as the pets start acting out. The squad tears the place apart, but Pop is nowhere to be found. Oh-jin switches tactics, asking if the bird has any specific likes or triggers. Tia plays dumb, suggesting maybe Pop already slipped out. But our boy isn't buying it. That bird can't work doorknobs or parkour through windows. He has to be in the building. Pio suddenly snaps his fingers. Pop is obsessed with men. Our boy notes that some critters are drawn to those deep, baritone vocals. Tia confirms Pop's thirst for guys is actually next-level extreme. And then, it clicks for our boy. That explains why the bird was practically glued to him during the exam. Sonia realizes there's only one spot unchecked, a room where a certain guy is catching some Z's. They sprint over and find the bird, wrapping Adrian in a massive bear hug. The whole room freezes. Oh-jin shoots a glare at Tia, demanding the truth. He corners her, asking why she intentionally abandoned Pop. He sensed the vibes were off from the jump. In his veteran career, he's seen every type of pet parent, but never a guardian who looks bummed out to hear their pet has a clean bill of health. He points out that a chicken, no matter how speedy, is way too flashy and bulky to just vanish, and definitely too noticeable to slip past security without help. He demands she spill the tea. Tia breaks, confessing she staged it because the Baroness would never believe a nobody, like her. But if a heavyweight like Oh-jin declared Pop was sick and MIA, that's a story she'd buy. Our boy cuts in, asking who would even swallow such a wild lie. Tia drops the bomb, the Baroness. Terror creeps into her voice, as she begs Oh-jin to save her skin. If the Baroness finds out Pop is healthy, he's going to be hunted down. A massive hunting tournament is coming up, hosted by the Baroness's estate, paired with a banquet for a VIP guest, rumored to be none other than Prince Theo. The Baroness is prepping the menu, and she wants Pop as the main course. The room goes dead silent. Pio loses it, screaming about how twisted it is to eat someone's pet. especially since the Baroness already has a flock of those massive fire chickens. Tia reveals the dark truth. That entire flock got wiped out last year by a contagion. Oh-jin argues there have to be other options, but the Baroness is fixated on Pop. Tia explains those big fire chickens are legendary for their vitality and fertility, beasts famous for popping out eggs like crazy. Desperate dynasties crave that meat, believing one bite is a supernatural cheat code for a stronger bloodline. Our boy lets out a bitter laugh, noting how people everywhere are obsessed with stealing someone else's blessings through superstition. Tia says the Baroness has been eyeing Pop for ages and is now threatening to evict them from their farm if they don't comply. Pio, fuming, shouts that holding someone's livelihood hostage to murder their pet is straight up evil. Tia begs again, imploring Oh-jin to forge a diagnosis, to label Pop as a walking biohazard, so no one would dare eat him. But our boy shuts it down. The room gets heavy. He explains that the second a doctor fakes a chart, they stop being a healer and start being a con artist playing God. Cross that line, and your medical opinion becomes trash. Adrian suddenly interrupts, furious, accusing him of putting a code of ethics over an actual life. To him, a doctor's job is to save the patient, not worship the rulebook. Oh-jin stands his ground, breaking it down. If he lies and tags Pop with a deadly plague, the animal gets branded as patient zero, the barn gets quarantined, and every innocent creature in there could be culled. If the truth leaks later, the family could face criminal charges, or become the scapegoats for future outbreaks. He declares a doctor exists to save lives, but not by endangering hundreds, just to save one. If you can't grasp that math, you don't deserve the white coat. Tia hangs her head, whispering a broken apology. Outside, Tia completely falls apart. Pio tries to comfort her, insisting there has to be a workaround. Tia is drowning in despair, feeling powerless against the nobility, and thinks about making a run for it with Pop. That's when our boy steps up. He tells her to hold her ground, no running. He can't fix this as a doctor, but as a fellow pet lover, he's got this. Tia and Pio look up, hope sparking in their eyes as he lays out the scheme. Moments later, Oh-jin instructs Tia to plant a specific rumor at the Baroness's estate, and without even turning around, he calls out the eavesdroppers lurking in the shadows. He orders them to show themselves, specifically drafting Adrian for a critical role. Cut to the clay mansion, the rumor mill is spinning out of control. Guests are buzzing that Duke Astrid's daughter, Lady Marianne, has officially dropped out of the race for Prince Consort, despite being a top-tier contender. The Baroness is practically glowing with satisfaction, convinced this is her daughter's golden ticket to the top. She's already visualizing the scene, her daughter landing the prince, the ultimate clapback against every snobby noble who ever threw shade their way. Immediately following that fantasy, she decides the upcoming banquet isn't just a dinner, it's the battlefield where she secures the bag and her legacy. But her scheming hits a wall when Adrian struts into the entrance. The Baroness freezes, totally shook by his sudden arrival, and mesmerized by his main character energy. As he approaches with effortless swagger, he asks for a private chat. Sitting at the table, the Baroness is caught lacking, able only to stare and wonder who this god-tier stranger actually is. The Baroness, now seated next to Adrian, feels like she's living in a fever dream. Soaking up the jealous stares from the room, she basks in the clout, barely processing that she's chatting up such a stunner at her own party. She shoots her shot, asking if he's a royal school alum, and when he says yes, she immediately pivots to ask if he's rubbed elbows with the royal family. A moment later, Adrian confirms it, dropping the info that he and Prince Theo go way back from their school days. The Baroness's brain goes into overdrive, mentally redecorating her entire mansion to match the current royal aesthetic. Fishing for intel, she asks what the prince likes to eat. Adrian hits her with a soft curveball, asking if she's planning to cook for him personally. Flustered and embarrassed, she stammers, but he smooths it over, validating how stressful it is to prep food for the elite. Then comes the hook. He offers to introduce her to his exclusive plug, a secretive merchant who only deals in top-tier, imported ingredients for the ultra-rich. The Baroness, stunned and hyped, demands to meet this vendor immediately. Calling it destiny, Adrian escorts her to a humble cottage, claiming this is where the magic happens. The Baroness gives the rundown shack major side-eye, but her judgment is cut short when two figures step out and introduce themselves as Louis Vuitton and Chanel. Yep, it's actually Selena and Owen in cosplay. Our boy welcomes her with open arms, while Selena hypes up the timing of her arrival. The Baroness is skeptical this screams scam, but Owen reveals a dessert described as the latest obsession among foreign royalty, a devilish treat called tang hulu. The Baroness eyes the shiny, teared fruit and takes a hesitant bite. Boom. Skepticism deleted. The sugar shell cracks, ASMR style, unleashing a flavor explosion of tangy juice that floods her mouth. The sweet-sour combo is literal perfection. She's flawed by the taste. and silently admits these guys are the real deal. Seeing she's hooked, Owen smooths the transition, bringing up a rumor that she's in the market for a legendary ingredient, known as the plant of immortality. The Baroness perks up, and our boy keeps spinning the yarn, rebranding it as the chickpea of eternal youth, a superfood that reverses aging, boosts health, and cures everything, from constipation to hair loss. Totally sold, the Baroness demands the entire stock, but Owen plays hard to get, saying it's all reserved. Adrian steps in, insisting they pull some strings for a VIP. Our boy acts conflicted, claiming that batch is a gift for the prince from a mystery buyer. The Baroness, panic rising, asks if this buyer has a single daughter. When our boy nods, she realizes her rival is trying to buy the prince's affection with snacks. Desperate, she offers 10 times the asking price. Owen, acting all high and mighty, refuses the cash, claiming their business runs on truth, love, health, and vibes. Selena barely holds back an eye roll at his acting, while the Baroness feels cringe for showing her greed in front of such noble merchants. Adrian plays the hero again, arguing that true compassion means helping the desperate lady right in front of them. The Baroness looks at him, touched, while our boy finally caves and agrees to sell the chickpeas. But before she dips, Owen drops a massive warning. The chickpeas, he claims, hold the mana of the great big fire chicken, the OG poultry god. The rule? Anyone eating them must ban all chicken from their diet, or face rapid aging, disease, and baldness. It's total nonsense, but the Baroness is terrified. The idea of giving up chicken is torture, but looking old? A fate worse than death. She takes the beans and accepts the ban. Adrian cracks a joke about old people and their weird health hacks, and our boy laughs along, mocking the superstition. The Baroness nervously agrees, calling the fire chicken curse outdated trash. Later, back at the clinic, the mission is a success. Pop is safe. Tia is practically glowing with gratitude, thanking our boy for saving her friend. Owen shrugs it off and hands her a custom carrier funded by the Baroness's cash. He explains it's insurance against future disasters. Tia is emotional, calling him her lifesaver. Our boy just chuckles, playing it cool, telling her she can ring him up anytime she needs backup. In the background, the mandrake is majorly salty, glaring, while Pop soaks up all the love. Owen slides in with a part-time gig looking after the critters, and Tia jumps at the chance. But right when the vibes get good, Pop decides the mandrake looks like a snack and tries to inhale him, sending the whole room into a frenzy. After wrestling the little glutton into a cage to cool off, our boy shifts gears. With things settled, he turns to Adrian and hands over the paycheck for his help. Adrian stares at the cash, completely shook by the number, but Ogden quickly drops the reality check. Medical bills, rent, and fees were deducted, leaving a grand total of just 312 silver. Adrian snaps. He grabs our boy by the collar, screaming that he's a total scammer for docking that much coin. Selena steps in, reminding him that the treatment actually worked wonders. Adrian does a complete 180 instantly, gushing over her skills and thanking her for the recovery he felt after taking her meds. Selena promises a refill to keep him healthy, and he accepts it with a goofy grin. Once Adrian bounces, Selena asks the million-dollar question. Was letting him walk away a mistake? Our boy admits the guy's got skills and decent chemistry with her, but he waves off the idea of recruiting him, for now. Selena rolls her eyes, telling him his money hunger is out of control, and betting he's going to regret this move big time. Cut to Prince Theo sipping tea while chatter about the hunting tournament fills the room. Baron Doyle is on his knees, begging for forgiveness, explaining he's been hunting for a chance to snag the Monoceros, but the clinic is never empty enough to make a move. Theo mocks his weak excuses and demands a savage plan to present that Monoceros to Sonia, right in front of the crowd to secure his power. He warns the Baron, mess this up, and you're finished. Suddenly, chaos breaks out. The Baron's pet, Magma, starts tweaking right at feeding time, and lunges for a servant's tray, inhaling a bowl of chickpeas. Theo explodes in a rage, while the Baron hits the floor, swearing to pay back tenfold while frantically trying to calm the prince down. Back at the clinic, a fresh surgery patient is waking up. Staff are warning owners to stay alert for anesthesia side effects, and telling them to keep eyes on their pets. Then Tia runs in, worried sick about Pop's little brother, Chip, who is super low energy and coughing. Ogden checks him out, noting a mild cold and weak muscles, prescribes daily meds, and says to take it easy. But the next day, Tia's back zero improvement, and now her dog is sick too. Suddenly, our boy clicks. He's seeing the exact same symptoms in totally different species, and immediately hospitalizes both to stop the spread. But within days, it's happening everywhere. Pets from different houses show up with identical signs. Our boy realizes this isn't just a cold, it's something bigger. He goes into crisis mode, shouting for owners to mask up and cover their faces. No touching anything without gloves if you've handled a sick pet. He rushes the symptomatic cases up to the second-floor isolation ward, leaving the others downstairs. The symptoms look mild, but the meds? They aren't doing a thing. And this virus doesn't care what species you are. Selena warns that, at this speed, we're looking at a full-blown pandemic. She nailed it. The clinic is instantly overrun, with desperate owners begging for help. He has to turn people away as every hospital in town hits max capacity. Then, Lord Baron bursts in, panicked about his indoor pet, Elizabeth, who he insists should be safe. But the truth comes out, a new turtle he bought was the silent carrier. The Baron asks about empty real estate nearby. A vacant building in the back alley gets offered up as a makeshift annex. Seeing the disaster unfolding, our boy takes the offer without hesitation. Now he's solo running 2 facilities, sprinting between sites, wondering how on earth he's going to survive without another doctor on deck. Meanwhile, Adrian looks around his empty hospital and asks why it's a ghost town. His assistant breaks the news about the outbreak and bets they'll be getting a call for help any second. Right on cue, a letter lands from Oh-jin asking for backup. Bring gear, bring meds, pay rate is 2 gold per hour, plus a performance bonus. Adrian gets salty at the tone, ready to set the disrespectful letter on fire. Then he spots the line about Selena collapsing from exhaustion. Pride goes out the window. Adrian announces he's rolling out. He's staying until this pandemic war is won, declaring that a doctor goes where the disaster is. His assistant shuts up, respecting the move. As the first wave of the epidemic crashes over the land, Pio gathers everyone inside the clinic and locks down the protocol. Strict isolation. Any symptomatic animal gets quarantined, and nobody steps outside unless it's absolutely necessary. The timeline for patient 0 is blurry, and the medical charts are stacking up faster than the team can read them. Adrian is running on fumes after a 12-hour shift, checking swollen throats but ruling out the plague in lucky cases. Selena is buried under 26 hours of lab work, while Oh-jin nurses a fragile rabbit after an 18-hour marathon, wrapping up the treatment with gentle hands despite the exhaustion crushing the whole crew. Then Schwein bursts in with Max, dropping the bad news that 2 prize-fighting dogs for the upcoming tournament have caught the bug. The ward is packed like sardines, and Tyr signals they are at max capacity. But Oh-jin isn't hearing it. He demands they make room, and dives back into the research, swearing they won't lose a single life. Schwein is grateful, but Adrian is skeptical, wondering why they are taking in more souls than they can save. Oh-jin doesn't argue. He just keeps working, refusing to turn anyone away. Pio flags a new problem. Panicked owners are trying to dump their pets, thinking a little cough means game over. Oh-jin shuts that down immediately, warning that abandonment leads to permanent damage, especially for working breeds like hunting dogs who get tossed aside the second their value drops. He stands firm. Every animal gets VIP treatment, useful or not. Deep into the night, Oh-jin tries infusing antibiotics with dragon energy, looking for a miracle cure, but every batch is a bust. Selena steps in, warning him to pump the brakes before the dragon magic stops his heart. He blames unstable mana and starts rambling about alternative meds. Selena realizes he hasn't slept in 3 days, so she knocks him out cold for a mandatory recharge. 5 hours later, Oh-jin wakes up groggy, with Tyr spoon-feeding him. He stares at the egg from Pop, realizing the chicken is totally healthy despite the outbreak. Tyr confirms both Pop and Seonja are immune. Suddenly, the gears in Oh-jin's head start turning, scanning every variable diet, blood type, personality, until his focus locks on to Seonja, who is currently getting spat on by the mandrake, the exact same way the plant spat on Pop. That disgusting habit is the shield. Oh-jin mixes mandrake saliva with a sample from an infected beast, and the gray, dying leaves turn a vibrant green, signaling a cure. The clinic explodes with cheers as the team hails the grumpy mandrake as the real MVP. Now they need mass production. The team argues over methods, but Selena whips up a sugary cocktail, spiked with diuretics. The mandrake chugs it down, and suddenly, the healing drool starts flowing like a fountain. Oh-jin is stunned by the efficiency as they harvest the essence and start synthesizing the antidote. By sunrise, the nightmare is over, Max's cough vanishes, and his energy spikes. Oh-jin finally breathes easy as he jabs the last vaccine doses. But just as he signs off on the final chart, thunderous banging shakes the clinic door. Voices from the street scream that Lord Baron is here for Oh-jin's head. The noble arrives with a squad of goons, drawing a confused crowd whispering about the drama. A moment later, Oh-jin swings the door open, staring the Baron down as the noble accuses him of manufacturing the plague for profit and scamming the people. Oh-jin's jaw tightens, remembering the lie he told to keep Seonja off the radar. He points to the fading M-shaped mark on Seonja as proof of his success, calling out the accusation for what it is, a bluff. The Baron doesn't care about the truth, he just wants the cat. Pio steps up to defend Oh-jin's honor, but the Baron shuts him down instantly. Oh-jin cuts the tension, agreeing to surrender quietly on one condition. He needs to sedate Seonja first. The Baron hesitates but nods. Oh-jin shoots Selena a look, signaling for a magical getaway. Selena totally misreads the vibe, clenching her fists instead. Once Seonja is asleep and caged, a faint light pulses from Oh-jin's ring, giving the go-ahead. Selena doesn't cast a spell. She throws a savage right hook, dropping one of the guards instantly. She snatches the cage and sprints into the mob. The Baron screams at his men to chase her, proving the cat is the only target. Oh-jin knew it all along. This was a setup. The Baron grabs Oh-jin by the collar, threatening to tear the place apart, but Pio blocks him, refusing to let the clinic take damage. Adrian steps up to back Pio, staring the Baron down until the noble retreats under the public's judgment. The guards drag Oh-jin away. Moments later, Oh-jin leaves the clinic in Pio and Adrian's hands, praying Selena is long gone. Rumors start spreading through the city that Oh-jin, the guy who slayed the Monoxus, is actually the villain behind the sickness. The Baron demands a public trial, and the whole town is watching. Inside a dark cell, Oh-jin finally catches his breath after the chaos, until the Baron walks in with his pack of wolves. He demands the cat and the elf's location. Oh-jin stays dead silent, smirking internally, knowing his friends are safe. The Baron snaps, threatening violence as his wolves start to growl. Our main man spots Magma shaking like a leaf, posture all twisted and radiating pure agony. He gives the wolf a quick once-over, noticing bloody urine and 0 energy levels. The verdict? A nasty hernia that's been ignored for way too long. Owen knows it's do or die, this animal needs surgery. Stat. Meanwhile, outside the mansion walls, Selena is laying low with Siona, who is getting seriously antsy. Selena tightens her hold, whispering a fierce promise to keep calm, and swearing our boy is safe and sound. Back inside, Owen locks in the hernia diagnosis and instantly takes charge, ordering the beast moved to a sterile room for emergency surgery. He starts barking out commands for tools, meds, and anesthesia, keeping total command of the chaos. Once the wolf goes under, and the site is scrubbed clean, our boy cuts in with laser focus. The Baron is hovering nearby, practically vibrating with anxiety, while a servant rushes over protective gear to keep things sterile. Owen is in total beast mode during the op, calling for temp checks, timing anesthesia doses down to the second, and demanding every single tool be spotless. The Baron is sweating it, not sure if he can trust this guy's skills. He steps out, second-guessing everything, until a memory of Magma's mom smacks him in the face, reminding him she died, showing the exact same signs. He stares at her portrait, and it finally clicks, she had the same condition. Meanwhile, the Baron's desk is drowning in petitions, screaming for Owen's release. Even Lady Marianne chimes in, representing Astrid's family with a heavy threat. Free the doc, or they're snitching to the king about the false charges. The staff is freaking out over the massive backlash, but back in the OR, success. The surgery is a wrap. The Baron sprints over and sees his furry friend breathing easy. Owen calmly breaks down the aftercare, 1 week of meds, and a follow-up to pull the stitches. Suddenly, the adrenaline crashes, and our boy drops onto a sofa, passing out cold after days of non-stop grinding. The Baron spots the raw, red marks the handcuffs left on Owen's wrists, and quietly orders the guards to never use them again. Back in his cell, our boy drifts off and dreams of home sweet home. He hears his parents' voices ghosting through. Mom is worrying that his clinic is going to tank again, while Dad is grumbling about his stubborn streak, bringing up how Owen turned down med school to be a vet instead. He doesn't get the glory in saving animals, but in the dream, Owen just feels peace. Then, a creature nuzzles up to him, looking like a mix between a cat and a lion, radiating pure warmth. Elsewhere, Theo is grilling the Baron about the missing Minotaur. The Baron spills the beans. The Etherian Order took it. And Selena? She is one of their operatives. Intel links her to some shady elf factions. Theo blows a gasket, trashing the Baron for being so incompetent. The Baron eats humble pie and tentatively asks if he can cut Owen loose, citing the avalanche of complaints from both nobles and regular folks alike. Theo is over it and tells him to make the call. Back at the mansion, the cage door opens. Before bouncing, Owen tells the staff to bring Magma back in 3 days to yank the stitches and hands them a strict care list. A servant brings up a hunting dog with busted knees, and our boy promises to check it out later. He steps outside and finds the squad waiting at the gate. He is stunned when they admit they were about to siege the castle if he didn't walk out that door right then. He hits them with a heartfelt thanks. And just like that, Siona, Mandrake, and Pop charge in, tackling him in a massive group hug. Selena is standing back, safe and beaming, holding Siona close. Owen flashes back to his dream, and the figure that felt just like her, knowing deep down that being a vet was absolutely his destiny. Watching from a high window, the Baron stays silent. His servant nervously asks if they are really just letting him walk. The Baron keeps staring as the servant insists something weird went down. Inside the cell, he saw Monoceros licking the doc's face before disappearing into thin air. The Baron waves it off, but inside, He is shaken, realizing Owen actually won this war. A few days later, a sealed envelope hits the Baron's desk. It is an itemized bill from our boy. The Baron reads it and crushes the paper, swearing a lifelong vendetta. Next morning, Adrian shows up at the clinic, saying hey to Selena and dropping off the herbs she ordered. Owen watches from the sidelines, wondering why this guy keeps popping up. Selena checks the stash, shocked he found such rare stuff out of season. Adrian flexes, claiming nothing is out of his league. She hands him another shopping list, and he snatches it up like a prize. As Selena reviews the goods, Adrian hypes up the top-tier quality. Adrian is geeking out over a pristine sprig of Sprinza, but blink, and you miss it, the thing vanishes from his grip. The perp? Bloop. That little jelly blob is casually snacking on the prize. Adrian snaps, reaching in to salvage the goods, but chomp. Bloop sinks his teeth right into Adrian's finger. Then, the little menace splits into a trio, and Whack slaps him across the face. Rubbing his cheek, Adrian grumbles that pets really do mirror their owner's toxicity, implying every critter raised by our boy has serious attitude issues. Selena cuts him off, claiming Bloop is her baby, which cues Adrian's lightbulb moment. No wonder the thing has such expensive taste in herbs. Bloop cracks a mischievous smirk, and Adrian goes rigid. Did that slime just smile at him? Creepy. Selena tosses Bloop into a cage to keep the chaos contained within the clinic walls. But Bloop, aka Ping Ping, he ain't your average blob. He starts narrating his own villain arc, claiming the second-floor herb room is his personal kingdom. Out of the hundreds of critters passing through daily, only 2 hold real power here, himself, and the clinic's enforcer, Kim Seo-jin's right hand. Even though Xionia is built like a tank with unmatched strength, she knows better than to poke the bear. See, embedded in Ping Ping's forehead is a vision core that lets him clone himself infinitely, unleashing absolute calamity on anyone who ticks him off. When they first met, Xionia's instincts screamed danger and she swung first, but Ping Ping flexed his power, shutting that down instantly. Since then, he's been living the high life under Selena's protection, co-ruling the clinic alongside Xionia. Cut to later that day, an owner bursts in, panic mode, clutching a lifeless pet. It got steamrolled by a carriage. Begging for a miracle, Oh-jin inspects the tiny body, clears the airway, and barks orders for timed compressions. He goes full ER mode with the CPR, tuning out the owner's doubt. A tense few seconds pass, and cough, the little guy gasps for air. Total shock shifts to awe. It's a bona fide miracle. Ping Ping watches from his cell, actually impressed by our boy's ability to snatch a soul back from death's door. Oh-jin asks for a single leaf from Mandel. Ping Ping sneers, reminding everyone that Mandel is just a lowly minion, known for his pathetic little dances. He throws shade, but Mandel glares right back, which only makes Ping Ping troll him harder, amused by the silence. Night falls over the clinic, and Ping Ping hits his grind set running on his wheel until he splits into 3 clones, unleashing absolute mayhem everywhere. He stops to admire his stronghold, a VIP setup gifted by our boy, perfectly climate-controlled for maximum comfort. But the vibe checks out instantly. Fury explodes when he finds his precious base trashed beyond recognition. Suspect number 1, Mandel. The plant is smirking from the shadows. Ping Ping sees red, accusing the veggie of rebellion. But Mandel's been juicing on medicinal herbs and stands his ground. Ping Ping wastes no time, roasting him for challenging the king, then launches a strike. Mandel swerves, and Ping Ping goes flying, crashing backward. Dusting himself off, Ping Ping notes Mandel's new stats. He's buffed up, but he reminds the plant, without that pot, he's just compost waiting to happen. With a savage blow, Ping Ping shatters the pot, sending Mandel sprawling into the dirt in total despair. Asserting dominance, Ping Ping demands he bend the knee. But Mandel isn't done desperate and furious. He charges up his ult, a sonic shriek that busts eardrums. Ping Ping senses the nuke incoming, tries to cover his ears, and realizes, uh-oh, his stubby arms can't reach. But the attack glitches, just a pathetic tremble. Ping Ping cackles at the fail, savoring his opponent's total collapse. Moments later, our boy bursts in, investigating the ruckus. He scans the war zone and spots Mandel sobbing amidst the pottery shards. Instantly reading the room, he drops to his knees beside the weeping plant, soothing him, promising it's gonna be okay. Picking up the broken pieces, Oh-jin cracks a faint smile and decides it's upgrade time. Since Mandel apparently chugged an overdose of supergrowth serum, he's blown up to 1.5 times his size. Our boy preps a luxury suite, a massive pot layered with top-tier soil, and topped off with premium organic nutrients. But as soon as Mandel settles into the penthouse, he starts looking off. Oh-jin investigates, totally stumped by the plant's lethargy. Selena, watching like a hawk, suddenly yanks one of Mandel's leaves. Our boy whips around in shock, just as a whimpering cry erupts from the plant, echoing through the halls. He flinches, covering his ears, while Selena freezes, realizing she might have messed up. After a heavy silence, Mandel gives a weak reaction. Our boy deduces that constantly yanking him out of his pot has nerfed Mandel's voice, but reassures him it'll reboot naturally. Fast forward to the next day, and Mandel looks terrible, leaves drooping, color faded, like he's aging in fast forward. Oh-jin starts panicking, terrified the poor guy is going to shrivel up and die. Selena wonders if they skimped on the fertilizer and suggests a double dose, but before she can move, Pio steps in, dropping truth bombs. She warns them against being clueless, insisting that swapping all the soil caused a massive rejection. That familiar dirt is like Mandel's immune system. Swapping it all at once left him too weak to adapt. If they'd waited any longer, Mandel is on death's door. Poe immediately takes command, barking orders to strip the leaves to lock in that precious moisture. They rush the pot to a shady, breezy spot, totally blocking out the sun to shut down the photosynthesis vibe. Oh-jin whispers to the little guy, begging him to hang in there. That night, under the pale moonlight, Mandel stands freezing still, leaking sap like tears. Enter Ping Ping, waddling in without a care in the world, trying to deliver a playful kick to the dying plant. Our boy snatches him up midair before he can connect. Then it hits him. Ping Ping is the culprit who swiped the medicinal herbs. Oh-jin starts roasting him for being a greedy glutton, pointing at his expanding waistline. Ping Ping's response? He chomps right down on Oh-jin's fingers. Bam! Shonja steps in and whacks Ping Ping upside the head. Suddenly, the mark on his body lights up like a flare, panic mode engaged. Our boy senses a dangerous energy spike and screams for everyone to stop before it blows. His necklace activates, blasting a barrier around Ping Ping. It starts draining the mark's power, the division core. The necklace sucks it all in. Oh-jin gets knocked back as the magical shockwave ripples through the room. A stray pulse zap hits Mandel's pot. Instant revive. The color rushes back, and he's looking vibrant again. He even starts doing a happy little wiggle dance. Our boy is stunned. Selena breaks it down for the class. The juice from Ping Ping's core kick-started Mandel's cells, triggering insane regeneration and a massive growth spurt. Poe is celebrating hard, relief washing over her face, while Oh-jin lets out a nervous laugh. Selena scoops up the drained Ping Ping, promising his core will recharge eventually. Little dude is out cold. Our boy warns them to keep Mandel's leaves off Ping Ping's menu. Selena just marvels at the genius of the division core that saved their skins. She silently thanks her master for the tech. Meanwhile, over in the western forest, there's a spooky legend called The Tale of the Legless Beauty. She looks like a gorgeous woman with flowing hair, but don't be fooled. She's actually a flesh-eating monster with razor teeth and, dragging herself forward with 0 hind legs, this entity manifests the second a baby starts crying. Rumor has it, she's the vengeful spirit of a yokai, totally losing her mind after the death of her child. Pio drops this lore with absolute intensity, swearing on her life it's legit. But Oh-jin? He isn't buying it, calling the whole thing total nonsense. Pio doubles down, while our boy plays skeptic, pointing out the 0 eyewitnesses. That's when Selena drops a bombshell. She actually spotted signs of this cryptid in the western forest just a week ago. Drag marks on the dirt, like something pulling itself along by its front claws. The bad vibes were strong enough to clear the area, which, ironically, let her harvest herbs in total peace. Oh-jin starts looking nervous, and right on cue, scratch, something claws at the door. Pio and our boy jump out of their skins. Selena whispers that someone is definitely out there, ignoring their frantic signals to keep that door shut. She yanks the door open, revealing Max. Our boy's heart is pounding, but then he spots a piece of Mr. Schwein's clothing clamped in the dog's jaws. Instant panic mode, he thinks Schwein is in trouble and sprints after Max to investigate. Seconds later, he catches up to Schwein, who is perfectly fine and chilling. Schwein looks confused, asking what the rush is, while Oh-jin lets out a massive sigh of relief. Schwein checks the fabric. It's just a scrap from Max's favorite chew toy. Turns out, the dog was just bored out of his mind, because Schwein's been buried in work lately. Standing in the eerie forest, our boy realizes Schwein is pulling a late shift. Schwein gestures to a trap hanging high in the branches. There's a kitten tangled inside. He explains the grim reality. Poachers are swarming the western forest, rigging nets everywhere, and the local wildlife is taking the hit. One trapped kitten is way out of reach, so he heads off to grab a pole. In the heavy silence, Oh-jin spots deep gouges in the bark, nasty claw marks, like something was trying to climb. Schwein also points out the weird drag marks circling the tree, exactly like a creature pulling itself with only front paws. The mood shifts instantly, the ghost story flooding back into their heads. Suddenly, the sound of sobbing cuts through the air. Our boy begs Schwein to quit pranking him, admitting he absolutely hates spooky stuff. Schwein swears he's innocent, but the wailing gets louder. A silhouette emerges, and they both freeze, terrified the legless monster has arrived. But it's not a monster, it's a fox. Oh-jin clocks the injury immediately. Its hind legs are crushed, explaining the dragging sound. A heartbeat later, the trapped kitten cries out from the canopy, and the fox goes feral, barking and clawing desperately at the trunk. Our boy misreads the situation, thinking the predator is trying to snack on the kitten. The crying doesn't stop, and the net starts swinging violently. Snap, the cage plummets. Oh-jin dives in, catching it inches from the ground. Relieved, he peeks inside, but his blood runs cold. It's not a kitten, it's a fox cub, and it's stone cold dead. A noise behind him triggers his instincts. He spins around. The massive mother fox is right there, coiled to strike. Oh-jin realizes he made a fatal slip-up. Out of nowhere, Selena appears thwip. She tags the fox with a tranquilizer dart. The beast wobbles and hits the dirt, lights out. Selena immediately scans our boy for damage. He's clear. She'd shown up just seconds ago, lured in by the cryptid rumors, only to find a celestial fox instead. Oh-jin inspects the unconscious animal, confirming the species and counting the scars, including fresh gunshot wounds shattering her hind legs. Selena takes a closer look, noting the signs of recent motherhood. Her glands are swollen, and there are faint traces of milk, meaning she hasn't nursed in a while. The realization hits our boy like a truck. The dead thing in the net was her baby. The cub was taken out by hunters who cursed their bad luck, bummed it wasn't an adult yet. Still, they figured the white pelt was worth a payday. But before they could bag it, a mother's rage shrieked through the trees, and she launched herself at them, sending the cowards running. In the quiet aftermath, she dragged herself to her cub's body, only to watch a stray cat appear, meowing softly nearby. Heartbroken, she gathered her broken child and curled up in the freezing rain, letting the dying cub nurse one last time. Later that night, the mother drifted off. While she slept, that same spirit cat appeared. In a tragic twist, the baby fox's spirit crawled toward it, and they started playing until the next second. They triggered a trap. The mother woke up to the sound of the snare, seeing her baby hoisted high into the branches, and she screamed helplessly from the ground, unable to reach him. Back in the present, the mother fox is thrashing violently on the clinic floor. Our boy fights to pin her down, but she sinks her fangs deep into his arm. Reacting on adrenaline, he jams a sedative into her neck. Her muscles lock up, then finally go slack, saving her from ripping her own stitches open. The next morning, a low, menacing growl fills the waiting room. P.O. creeps forward, trying to get a glimpse into the treatment room. It's been 3 days since the fox was admitted, and she still goes absolute berserk every time she wakes up, her body burning through the sedatives fast. P.O. wonders aloud if maybe the fox doesn't know her baby is gone. But our boy shakes his head. She knows. That cub had been dead for days. If the mother had stayed close, she definitely would have sensed it. A heartbeat later, our MC catches the stitches ripping open again. That wound is stubbornly raw, refusing to close like her body is physically manifesting the trauma in her mind. Animals get PTSD too, fam. Locked in a loop of pain and rage, they lash out at themselves and everything around them, straight up behaving like those monsters in Western ghost stories. Meanwhile, the kitten rescued with the fox is bouncing back after fluids. It's still super fragile though. Our boy tells Pio, keep the temp steady and keep that kitty far away from the fox's cage. Pio nods and goes to swap the kitten's cold water bottle for a warm one. The little guy mews softly, eyes locked on the mother fox's crate. When Pio returns with the heat pad, freeze frame, the cage door is wide open. The kitten is MIA. Pure panic hits her when she spots it inside the fox's pen, snuggled right up against the mother. Pio alerts our boy instantly, fearing a disaster. With the fox this unstable, one wrong move is literally game over. But when they rush in, plot twist. They find the kitten pressed against the fox, nursing peacefully. The fox stirs. Her eyes flutter open, a single tear tracking down her snout. Instead of attacking, she bows her head and gently grooms the tiny fluff ball. The whole room goes dead silent, shook by the sight of a wounded predator finding healing in another life. Cut to the next day. The kitten is zooming across the clinic floor, dragging Pio's glove. Pio tries to grab it, then just gives up as the rascal darts straight for the fox's cage. She figures she'll get it back later. What matters is the fox. Her recovery, which was totally stalled, just hit turbo mode. Those stubborn wounds are finally knitting together, and the nightmares are gone. Pio is flawed by the progress, unable to believe the creature they thought was paralyzed is moving its paws again. The nerves are actually coming back online. They're regenerating. Our boy watches quietly, realizing he can't fix everything humans have broken, but he can give back a piece of what was stolen. When release day comes, the fox and kitten step into the wild together. He says his goodbyes in silence, praying he never has to see them under such tragic vibes again. The fox looks back once a silent acknowledgement, before vanishing into the timber. Over time, the horror stories about the western forest monster fade out. A new legend drops. A white fox roaming the woods with a tiny cat, always riding shotgun. Back at the clinic, The mandrake is flexing in its pot, grabbing everyone's attention. Visitors whisper about the weird radish thing moving on its own, wondering if it's the hospital's guardian spirit. Some swear it's a mandrake, while others claim the real boss is a terrifying cat, rumored to silence wild beasts. Clearly over the gossip, the mandrake marches to Sonia's food bowl and flips it over. The disrespect. The crowd gasps. Did a plant just beef with the cat? The shock hits a new level when Sonia herself enters the chat, eyes glowing. The mandrake freezes in terror as she approaches. She pounces, but instead of attacking, she hacks up a hairball right on his head. The onlookers are confused, until our boy steps in with the science. Relax, guys. Cats swallow fur while grooming. It clumps up and gets ejected. Realizing he's been slacking on her brushing, he decides it's time for a serious grooming session. An hour later, the fur pile is massive. The shedding is out of control, and our boy starts worrying the cat might literally go bald. Then a small bald patch catches his eye. He zooms in and realizes with a sinking feeling that it could be fungal dermatitis. That hurts the ego. How does a top-tier vet miss his own pet's sickness? He whips out a custom tool made by the town's best smith, the world's first manual pet clipper. Maybe it's overkill, but he feels like he has to use it. As he starts clipping, Sonia hisses and bolts off the table. It's a standoff, but the doctor in him refuses to fold. A vet can't lose a battle of wills with a patient. Channeling his resolve, he steadies himself, whispering calm vibes as he continues. Sonia is squirming and crying, but he pushes through, dead set on finishing fast for her sake. Then, out of nowhere, her neck starts glowing. Blinding light explodes through the clinic, visible even from the street. Our boy stumbles back as a magic circle ignites beneath her. Boom, Killian spawns from the circle. Not a hologram, the actual guy. Later, over tea, our boy spills the tea on everything. Killian listens close, then drops a bomb. Sonia isn't sick. It's a natural shedding phase. Monoceros hit these massive growth spurts, where they dump their coats entirely, to power up. But they have to purify in the pond of sable. If they skip that step, the fur is gone forever. Our MC's heart sinks as he notices the clinic's absolute VIP, the kitty every visitor worships, is looking rough, sporting massive bald patches. Killian plays it cool, diagnosing it as a non-fatal condition, claiming it just needs time to heal. But that chill attitude doesn't fly with Oh-jin's determination. He decides right then and there to hunt down the legendary pond of sable to cure his furry friend. Killian drops some lore. The pond isn't a pond of fixed spot on a map, but a shifting lake saturated with mana, the feeding ground for the mystical sable seals. There's one in the Belmore region, but it's deep inside Etherian Order territory, basically a no-fly zone for civilians. Undeterred, our boy demands they roll out at sunrise. Selena throws up red flags, calling it a suicide mission, but Killian sighs and agrees to be their human GPS. He asks about the shop, but Oh-jin waves it off. Adrian's running the show while he's gone. By morning, they hit the western forest. The place screams haunted, dense and silent, buzzing with ghost stories. Weird lights dance in the trees, and the air literally vibrates with mana. Locals avoid this place like the plague. Suddenly, a red flower slithers past, and Killian signals they're getting close. Oh-jin squats to check out a funky bloom, commenting on its weird vibe, but Selena yells at him to freeze. Disturb those roots, and the sable seals release a toxic cloud, plus a million other horrors are hiding in the dirt. Suddenly, Sionia trots up like a boss, a snake clamped in her mouth. Our boy praises the hunter, but Selena snatches the prize away. That's no garden snake. It's got a twisted human face. A face snake, rare and lethal. Oh-jin shudders at the nightmare fuel and immediately jails Seonja in her travel case to stop her from fighting any more monsters. Killian laughs, pointing out the cat's massive side-eye at being caged. They finally hit the lake, and wow, the water glows like liquid neon, mana swirling underneath like trapped starlight. Even our MC, who's seen some crazy stuff, is struck dumb by the sheer aesthetic. He decides to solo this mission. Killian objects, calling it risky, but Oh-jin stands his ground. Cats are private weirdos. An audience would just stress her out. She barely tolerates a brush, so a bath is basically war. Killian finally caves, chanting a prayer to the water spirits. He invokes Celestian to bubble wrap Oh-jin in magic, granting him glistening gills under the moonlight. Now immune to drowning, our boy takes a deep breath, steeling his nerves. He cracks a joke about preferring a coma over what's coming next. Still, he scoops up Sionja, bribing her with treats as they sink into the glowing abyss. Her paws hit the water and nothing. No panic, just pure zen. Oh-jin is floored. A theory hits him. Could she be the mythical water attribute cat? The kind you only get if your ancestors were saints for 3 generations? Sionja floats like a mermaid, her fur sparkling like liquid silver. The scene is so perfect it melts our boy's brain, making him ache for a camera, a BBQ, cold beer, or even coffee. Anything to freeze frame this magic. The lake puts on a light show, mana bubbles popping like champagne. As he scrubs, layers of fur and skin start peeling off in waves, like a full-body shed. Oh-jin is mesmerized until oops, the soap slips away, drifting near some sketchy flowers. He grabs for it, and his hand brushes the deadly Celsia. Instant sting. Vision blurs. The water goes black. When he snaps his eyes open, the lake is gone, replaced by a totally different dimension. Our boy spins around, whispering, "Where the heck am I?" Then, a heavy paw lands on his shoulder. He turns to see a massive lion staring him down with chill golden eyes. He freezes. Who invited Mufasa? He's confused, especially after seeing the Monoceros earlier. Oh-jin braces for death, but the beast just starts licking his face. More Monoceros show up to join the cuddle puddle, and it feels so real he actually complains about their sandpaper tongues. He jokes that getting lion kisses is better than hitting the jackpot, but then he spots a tiny, white cub playing tag. It looks exactly like Sionja, minus the missing horn. He wonders if her horn could grow back. Suddenly, a voice echoes, "That depends on you." Oh-jin whips his head around and sees a shadowy figure. But before he can focus, a black Monoceros attacks, yanking him away from the group. Oh-jin stares at it, terrified. Why is this one choosing violence? Judging by the color and the vibe, he figures it's gotta be Sionia. Next thing he knows, he's waking up by the water with elves buzzing around him, saying he blacked out, thanks to Sabalsaya's toxin. They tell him straight if he didn't have that barrier up, he would have been totally cooked. Panic sets in. Oh-jin asks for Sionia immediately. Selena chills him out, pointing to his lap. There he is, safe and sound. Selena drops a bomb. The little guy actually dragged Oh-jin out of the danger zone when he went down. Oh-jin is completely floored, but Killian bursts the bubble, explaining the barrier made him float, so it wasn't super strength. Oh-jin feels terrible and apologizes to Sionia. He's the guardian, yet he's the one getting saved. Then he spots something Sionia looks bigger. He scoops up the cat, hyping him up for the growth spurt. Oh-jin's adrenaline is pumping. He suggests hitting the spring one more time. Killian laughs at the audacity guy nearly died, and he's ready for round two. On the walk back, Oh-jin opens up. He mentions a weird dream he had about a Monoceros in some creepy old castle. Talking about it triggers a flashback to that time he was locked in a cell, where he saw a black Monoceros that looked exactly like Sionia. Talk about a plot twist. Selena confirms it. That was Sionia. Oh-jin can't wrap his head around it. That beast was massive, and rocked a full mane. Killian points to Sionia's neck, showing the mane is starting to sprout, but Oh-jin is spiraling. In his mind, manes equal male lions. He brings up the biology mismatch, and Selena gives him a look. You didn't know he's a boy? Oh-jin is confused. He checked. No family jewels anywhere. Killian drops some magical biology facts. Those jewels only drop during mating season. Mystery solved. Back at the clinic the next day, Pio dumps a stack of house call requests on him. Oh-jin reminds her they stopped doing those. But there are loopholes. If the patient is a giant monster, too savage to travel, or just plain weird, they make an exception. Still, Oh-jin wants to pass since they're swamped. Enter Adrian, who's staging a protest. He thinks Oh-jin is working the girls to the bone. To defuse the drama, Oh-jin caves and grabs a request file for the first time in ages. He scans the doc, it's Baron Belmore's rabbit. Weird, why not bring Elizabeth in? Then he sees the count. 33 rabbits. Not one, not two. 33. Oh-jin smells a disaster. He grabs Pio and heads out. She's cooing over how cute bunnies are, until she walks in and sees the carnage. These gentle giants are wrecking the entire mansion. Oh-jin points at their teeth. Those aren't pets, they're demons in fur coats. Suddenly, the Baroness rushes him. As soon as she realizes he's the vet, she begs him to evict every single bunny. But Belmore storms in behind her, telling Oh-jin to ignore his wife. He screams at her to get out if she hates the rabbits so much. That triggers her. She snaps back that it's her house and tells him to hit the road. It gets ugly. He calls her an old witch, claiming the house is his. She reminds him she owns the land, and keeps blasting him with insults. They're screaming over each other, completely ignoring Oh-jin's attempts to start the checkup. Finally, Oh-jin snaps. He flips the switch from nice guy to scary doctor mode. He barks orders at the servants. Capture them, tag them, cage them, now. The staff scrambles. 1 hour later, the chaos is contained. Oh-jin does the roll call, and realizes the math isn't mathing. They are short by 5 rabbits. Belmore checks the list, it's the runts that are missing. He orders a total lockdown and search. The servants tear the place apart. But an hour later, they come back empty-handed, and looking terrified. Not a trace. Belmore explodes, dragging the caretakers in, and ripping them a new one for incompetence. Oh-jin cuts through the noise with logic. When was the last time you actually counted them? One admits that since they stay indoors, they don't count often. Last full check? Maybe a week ago. Oh-jin presses for details on the missing ones. The caretaker freezes and drops the truth. I can't tell them apart. Belmore goes nuclear. He insults them and fires the whole team on the spot. Oh-jin calms him down and turns to the staff. Why no ID tags? With this many staff, it should be basic protocol. They make excuses, the rabbits hate the collars, and Belmore banned them. Pio immediately snitches to the Baron. He's losing it. He can't believe these people are so blind. To him, every bunny has a unique face, but to them, just a blur of fur. Then the wifey walks in and hits him with the hard truth. He only spots the differences because he's a total rabbit geek. That really ticks him off. He instantly points the finger. It had to be her. She plays innocent, jaw on the floor, but he's not buying it. You've always hated my babies, he snaps. Tension spikes. He's convinced she's the culprit, and they go back and forth until Oh-jin cuts in. He needs facts. Do you know where they are? Those fluff balls are too soft for the streets. They'd never survive the wild. But she just shrugs. Zero clue. Plus, her logic tracks if she wanted to purge the pests. Why stop at 5? Belmore starts connecting the dots. Maybe she was trying to be slick about it, keep it on the down low, but she shuts that theory down fast. Honey, if I wanted them gone, I'd do it right in your face. Cold. And honestly, he knows she's right. She's begging for a fix now. She knows if they stay, they'll grow into kaiju-sized beasts like Elizabeth. Speaking of the giant menace wrecking the house, Belmore rushes to cuddle his monster, while the Baroness storms out in a huff. Then Thomas, one of the help, chimes in. Maybe they just bolted? He asks Oh-jin. He points out the missing 5 were the runts of the litter, constantly getting bullied. Another maid jumps in. It's a total survival of the fittest situation. They even had to separate them at mealtime. Oh-jin's skeptical though. Giant lops are homebodies. They hate touching grass. Time to play detective. He decides to track them down, just as the Baron barks orders to fetch snacks for his giant furball. Belmore remembers his wife's shade about the bunnies being weak. He needs backup. Bring me the hounds, he demands. He needs noses that don't quit. Because let's be real, rabbits are poop machines. If they moved, they left a trail. The plan? Follow the poop brick road. They unleash the dogs, but the first mutt to take a sniff? It gives Oh-jin the stink eye. Literally. Oh-jin awkwardly apologizes to the dog before yelling at the staff to scour the grounds. They comb the place with the pack, but most come back empty-handed. Nada. Except one. It picks up a scent leading to a field absolutely carpeted in bunny droppings. But Oh-jin's spider sense is tingling. Why here? The rest of the estate is clean, but this back garden is a biohazard zone. He squats down for a closer look. It's a mix of fresh evidence and ancient history. Belmore is screaming at people to keep looking, panic setting in. Meanwhile, Oh-jin is basically CSI, bunny unit right now. The Baron is losing it. Did they sprout wings? But Oh-jin cracks the case. He knows why the dogs were clueless earlier. The bunnies didn't walk here. They were carried. This was an inside job. Oh-jin turns to Belmore. Where does your staff crash? Belmore points to the servants' quarters. What about the married ones? Oh-jin presses. Belmore admits they get private cottages nearby. Oh-jin spins around to Thomas. You hitched? Thomas nods. Gotcha. Oh-jin points a finger. He's the thief. Thomas freezes, totally deer in headlights. Before he can stammer a defense, Belmore screams for a raid on Thomas's place. Boom. They bust in and find all 5 runaways safe and sound. Belmore is practically weeping with joy, scooping them up. Then the mood flips. He turns on Thomas, furious. You snatched them to make a quick buck, didn't you? I pay you enough, don't I? He's ready to explode. But Oh-jin steps in with logic. Hold up. If he wanted cash, he would have fenced these furballs ages ago. Everyone knows the tiny giant lops fetch the highest price. Wait too long. They grow, and the value drops. Oh-jin gestures to the bunnies. Look at them. Belmore blinks. They're chunky, way bigger than before. Oh-jin gives Thomas the floor. Explain. Now. Thomas spills the beans. No evil master plan. He just wanted to foster them for a while, and bring them back when they were ready. Belmore's rage deflates. Wait, the guy was actually being nice? Why did he do it? Simple. Thomas looks them dead in the eye. If I left them there, they would have died. The Baron is shook. What are you talking about? Thomas drops some rabbit psychology. These creatures are hypersensitive. They vibe check the environment constantly, and they absorb their owner's feelings. The Baron's constant rage at his wife? The bunnies were soaking up that toxic energy. They were terrified of getting dumped. So, survival instinct kicked in. Eliminate the weak links. It was Hunger Games in that pen. To save the herd, the strong had to purge the weak. If Thomas hadn't stepped in, those 5 runts would have been bullied to death. The Baron is reeling. This sounds insane. But Oh-jin drops a bombshell on the Baron, siding with Thomas after cracking the code on why the remaining 5 bunnies are so tiny. He points out the massive size gap. These little guys are microscopic compared to the absolute unit that is Elizabeth. Diagnosis? Stunted growth from severe stress. Oh-jin turns to Thomas, asking if he tried to quarantine them in the garden first. Thomas is shook by Oh-jin's intuition. Turns out Oh-jin spotted the evidence. Caught red-handed, Thomas confesses he split them up outside. He fed them for a few hours, but it wasn't enough to save them from getting bullied by the other 28 savages. That's why he smuggled them home. Belmore's totally lost, asking why he'd go to such extreme lengths. Oh-jin breaks it down. Thomas is covered in way more rabbit fur than any other servant in the joint. Plus, he ID'd those bunnies instantly without checking their tags. Oh-jin drops the mic with the obvious truth. Thomas isn't just a servant. He's a superfan who cherishes those fluff balls exactly like the Baron does. Belmore gets emotional, asking why Thomas kept quiet. If he knew, they could have set up a VIP section for the weaklings. They could have raised them right. But Thomas hits him with a reality check. It's impossible. The mansion is overrun. The only rabbit-free zone is the second floor, and that's the Baroness's territory. It clicks for the Baron. Thomas admits he'd never invade the Baroness's space. He loves the bunnies, sure, but his loyalty to the Baroness comes first. Meanwhile, the Lady of the Hour is spilling tea, literally with her squad. They're hyping up her cute teacups and the luxe mansion, but she's not having it. She vents that her husband is pathologically obsessed with rabbits. Her friends just laugh and start roasting their own husbands. Their guys are into fishing and hunting bears, disappearing for a month at a time, like ghosts. And when they do return, the whole house reeks of dead bear. That's when it hits her. She's actually got it good with Belmore. The girls admit they're jealous, claiming she gets to be all lovey-dovey with her man. She denies it, citing their constant bickering, but the squad isn't buying what she's selling. They remind her she was Belmore's childhood crush. Their love story is legendary. And the real reason he's into rabbits? It's because of her old nickname, Bunny Teeth. Blushing hard, she glances at the statues, realizing she totally forgot. Back in the day, kids used to roast her with that name, but Belmore flipped the script. He told her rabbits were cute, just like her. The Baroness goes quiet, the memory of his confession hitting different now. Later, she gets home and finds out the missing bunnies are secure. Once they get their shots, they're getting evicted to a new spot, just like she wanted. She's stunned Belmore is actually kicking them out. She's thrilled about the peace and quiet until she sees him sulking, saying a tearful goodbye to his fur babies. Panic sets in. She thinks he's dumping them. She snaps, yelling at him, demanding to know where he's taking them. Who on earth is going to love them more than he does? Belmore is floored that she's actually defending the bunnies. He questions her sudden change of heart, and she admits she's not a fan. But seriously, what kind of parent abandons their kid? He's the one who insisted they raise Elizabeth like their own flesh and blood. Realizing she remembers that promise, Belmore beams with joy. She blushes, dropping the truth bomb. Elizabeth was the name they picked for their firstborn, but when they couldn't conceive, Belmore gifted her a rabbit on her birthday and named it Elizabeth. He told her they were twins, and suggested they raise the bunny as their own kid. Later, as the carriage whisks Oh-jin and Pio away, Oh-jin notes he's glad Belmore and the wifey patched things up. They might fight like cats and dogs, but the love is real. Pio, though? She's devastated the rabbits are getting shipped off. Oh-jin comforts her, don't be sad. Belmore isn't sending them far, they're going right behind his house. She's confused, so Oh-jin breaks it down. For 33 adult rabbits to live their best lives, they need a forest-sized crib. The Baron suggested using the forest behind his estate. It's his land, after all. He wants to build a legendary rabbit paradise. As he listed off crazy demands, Oh-jin realized the guy is a total real estate mogul. That's when Belmore promoted Thomas to general manager of the new garden. The job sounds massive, but Belmore insists it's punishment for his crimes. So, from now on, Thomas has to care for those rabbits with his whole heart. And honestly, the guy is over the moon. After getting the scoop, Pio is hyped to see the finished rabbit park, but Owen is mentally listing the chores he needs to neuter an entire squad of rabbits when bam, the carriage screeches to a halt. Heart rate spiking, Owen peeks out, wondering if this is a classic highway heist. He realizes they're surrounded. A gang of hooded figures demands he step out. Owen exits, towering over them. Wait, why are these thugs pint-sized? Suddenly, blades flash. Come with us. Pio cowers behind Owen, whispering, do these bandits sound like they haven't hit puberty yet? Owen steps up, casually asking if they've got a sick pet. The leader doesn't chat, he just shoves a blade in Owen's face. Back off, the kid warns. Owen ignores the threat and barehands the weapon right by the sharp edge. Just as suspected, it's a toy. Wooden junk. Realizing the jig is up, the mini-gang tries to scatter. Not happening. Owen rounds up the brats for a serious discipline session. He grills them. Next time, just walk into the clinic if you need help. Why roleplay as bandits? Then, the truth drops. One kid mumbles that vet bills cost a fortune. Owen's jaw drops. They literally tried to kidnap a doctor to get free healthcare? The audacity is infuriating. He lays into them, demanding the mastermind's name. The leader steps forward. Jack, I'm reporting you to your mother, Owen threatens. Jack panics but insists. We weren't going to stiff you. We had a plan. He digs out a handful of coins, a desperate down payment. The other kids chime in, promising to work off the rest of the debt. Please save Mary, they beg. It's their cow. Owen, being the soft-hearted saint he is, caves instantly and follows them. The trek leads to the boonies. Owen grimaces. Getting medical help out here is a nightmare scenario for any livestock. A flag snaps in the wind. Owen recoils at the symbol, but the kids chill him out. It's just their local faith. They worship Euros, a mythical six-legged cow deity that supposedly guarantees good harvests. Jack gets dark. There are fanatics here. If a cow gets sick, these extremists claim the gods are furious at the owner. They don't offer help. They harass the farmers, branding them as walking bad luck charms. It's total ostracization. The owners get cut off from work because the zealots think the curse is contagious. Owen is horrified. How long does this bullying last? Jack shrugs until the cow dies or recovers. No in between. Owen points out the obvious. Why didn't you just call a vet immediately to stop the rumors? Pio shakes her head. Regular farmers can't afford that luxury, and the trek to a city hospital is brutal. Instead, they rely on gross folk magic, drinking urine, or slapping talismans on the walls, and praying the sickness away. That's why they like you, Owen, Pio adds. Your prices are basically bargain bin. Owen blinks. He thought he was charging market rate. Pio quickly adds. And, you're actually skilled. He decides to ignore the cheap comment. Jack leads them to his home, and the sight stops them cold. The place is plastered in talismans. It looks less like a home, and more like a haunted house victimized by pranksters. Jack's mom steps out. When she realizes Jack dragged a vet here, she crumbles into apologies. We have no money. Please leave, she begs. Owen cuts her off. Forget the fee. It's covered. He waves away her protests. Just take me to the patient. She freezes, stunned, but Owen snaps into doctor mode. Now, she rushes him to the barn. There's Mary, collapsed on the hay. Mom explains the timeline. Trouble started pre-labor. The calf came early. Immediately after, Mary was hit with a scorching fever and a smell that could peel paint. One look, one sniff. Owen's got it figured out. Before he can drop the diagnosis, Jack's dad storms in. He spots the vet and explodes. Get off my property. Jack tries to intervene, but his dad is drowning in despair. It's over. She's going to die, he shouts. The shouting triggers Owen. He flashes back to his past life, a family euthanizing a pet just because they couldn't afford surgery. Not this time. Owen steps in, voice steady. Way too early to give up. This isn't a death sentence. He lies smoothly. Besides, the fee's already been covered. Jack lights up with hope. The dad looks skeptical. Is this guy a scammer? But the mom grabs his arm, whispering that Owen feels legit. Owen ignores the drama and pries open Mary's mouth. Verdict? Brucellosis. How's the calf? Owen asks sharp. Jack nods. The little guy got sick after nursing, but he bounced back. Jack explains he boiled morning broth for the calf. Owen pauses. That's a potent natural antibiotic. Owen is stunned. That's complex chemistry for a kid. How did you pull that off? Jack shrugs. Mix the herb water with milk from a healthy cow. Owen praises the genius move, but Jack just looks down, heartbroken. Since the herbal remedy barely made a dent in Mary's condition, Oh-jin drops a reality check. Mary isn't just a calf. She's a full-sized bovine unit. Plus, she's been battling sickness for a hot minute, so her resistance is sky-high. Honestly, if it wasn't for Jack's clutch thinking earlier, Mary would have already kicked the bucket. The parents are absolutely floored to learn the cow is finally out of the danger zone. But the real MVP is Oh-jin. He came prepared with the heavy-duty meds. He hooks up an IV drip like a pro and hands over the prescription, instructing them to keep the treatment going. But then, panic sets in. Mrs. Howard starts spiraling, freaking out about the medical bill. Oh-jin cuts her off immediately. He's not charging them a dime for this. He insists she take the meds. But before they can celebrate, a mob of villagers shows up outside, screaming for Mr. Howard. They're demanding Howard hand Oh-jin over. Jack realizes the village chief's son must have spilled the tea about Oh-jin hiding out here. No point in hiding now. Oh-jin and Howard step out to face the music. But the second Oh-jin asks, "What's the beef?" The crowd scatters back, like he's radioactive. They're terrified of catching some cursed bad luck. Then, the village chief steps out of the bushes, confirming Oh-jin is indeed the vet. Howard immediately goes on the defensive, thinking the chief is here to start trouble. But plot twist. The chief claims he's actually trying to protect Howard. He goes on a rant about how all doctors are the same, greedy scammers who use treatment as an excuse to drain your life savings. Oh-jin, looking unbothered, asks if they've spent their whole lives getting played. He clarifies he's not some shady hustler. The bill has already been settled, 0 hidden fees attached. One of the villagers pops up, looking skeptical, doubting Howard even has the cash. to hire a specialist. Offended by the shade, Oh-jin asks if he needs to print out a receipt to prove he's legit. Reading Oh-jin's serious energy, the mob realizes he isn't bluffing. Now they're confused and panicking, mostly because the priestess is going to lose it when she finds out. Another guy suggests, maybe, just maybe, Oh-jin can actually save the cow, which would be a win for everyone. Meanwhile, Oh-jin is standing right there while they discuss his fate like he's an NPC. Finally, the chief speaks up. He says they won't kick Oh-jin out, but they definitely don't trust him. The ultimatum? Oh-jin stays put until the priestess arrives. Oh-jin's trying to figure out their angle here. The villager explains it's a test run. They'll watch the cow's condition to see if Oh-jin is the real deal or a fraud. They warn him, try anything sus, and you'll face divine punishment. Oh-jin, now fully fired up to crush this superstition with science, accepts the challenge. He vows to show them the supreme power of modern medicine. He dives back into Mary's diagnosis, treats her with precision, and pumps her full of nutrients. Fast forward a few days, and Mary is fully recovered. Jack's family is beyond grateful, while the villagers are shook that Oh-jin actually cured a fatal illness. They can't get over how Mary's fur is literally glowing, and Oh-jin stands there, humble bragging about modern science while acting like it was effortless. Truth is, he went all out just to dunk on their shamanism. He hands out scrolls containing cheat sheets for animal first aid, and DIY recipes for household medicines they can brew themselves. Now, they're not helpless in an emergency. The villagers are totally won over, praising Oh-jin as a hero. But the village chief hesitates, looking for the catch. He asks Oh-jin what his real goal is. Oh-jin's confused, so the man asks again. Oh-jin realizes the trust issues in this village run deep. The chief explains his trauma. Doctors are usually just merchants trading lives for coin. For decades, whenever their livestock got sick, they begged for help, but no doctor ever showed up. Even during epidemics, the vets only cared about the nobles' designer pets and ignored the countryside completely. Oh-jin validates the chief's feelings but claps back. Those noble vets were trash who didn't deserve the title. The profession isn't the problem. The people were. He wasn't lying about having no hidden agenda. As a true doctor, he can't walk away from a suffering animal just because the owner is broke. Jack, watching silently from the back, is practically fanboying, vowing to grow up and be a legend like Oh-jin. Suddenly, the priestess crashes the party, screaming that Howard's barn is reeking of impure energy. She orders everyone to back off. The villagers immediately bow down, apologizing profusely for not rolling out the red carpet. She ignores them, claiming the gods personally sent her on this mission. Oh-jin checks out her outfit. It's giving Major Miko vibes from his past life, triggering some serious deja vu. She glares at Mary, sees the cow as healthy and huge, and immediately starts chanting nonsense. The men bow, eating up every word. Oh-jin just facepalms. Amazed people still fall for this level of grift. Oh-jin just stands there, jaw on the floor, staring in total disbelief. After the priestess finishes her spooky chant, she has the nerve to claim that the gods miraculously cured the cow and demands praise. The villagers, like total NPCs, immediately start worshipping the air. That tears it. Oh-jin snaps, shouting over the crowd. He screams that he was the one grinding all night to heal that animal, not some invisible spirit. She shoots him a death glare. Realizing he's not a local, she instantly plays the outsider card, accusing him of radiating straight-up unholy energy. Then she cranks up the drama, chanting louder and shrieking that she smells the stench of beasts on him. To Oh-jin, a literal veterinarian, it's obvious why he smells like animals. But the villagers are shaking in their boots, watching her scream damnation on him. It's a total circus. This whole scene triggers a flashback to Oh-jin's pre-isekai life, back when exam season turned the med department into a superstitious cult. Students would lose their minds, hoarding lucky bracelets and talismans like they were rare loot to help them pass. The absolute cringe lord of the group was a weirdo who wore the unwashed underwear of a past graduate, thinking the luck would rub off. It was beyond disgusting. Oh-jin couldn't stand it back then. Med students relying on voodoo instead of science felt completely backward. But when he told them to, actually study, they got super salty. One student even clapped back, predicting Oh-jin's arrogance would get him cursed, specifically saying he'd open a clinic, only to get warped to another dimension or stuck in a religious witch trial. It sounded oddly specific at the time, like a bad webtoon plot. Oh-jin laughed it off, but joke's on him, he literally walked right into the weirdo's prophecy. Flash forward, and he's currently starring in that nightmare, being judged by a fraud. Minutes earlier, while listening to her ramble, Oh-jin asks what the deal is. Jack drops the bomb. It's a trial by ordeal. He has to beg for mercy in a ritual before getting tossed into a pen with the divine bull. If he survives, he's innocent. If not, he gets a one-way ticket to meet the gods. Oh-jin thinks throwing a human in a bullpen is pure insanity, but reading the room, He realizes he's cooked. As they drag him toward the ritual site, Oh-jin curses his trash-tier luck, while little Pio sobs his eyes out, watching them take him away. At this point, Oh-jin decides to flex his dragon authority powers. He considers a protective barrier, but hesitates. It feels kinda lame, so he thinks about just caging the bull with magic. Then he scraps that idea too, because if he scratches one hair on that holy cow, the mob will tear him apart. Suddenly, he hears Jack shouting for his release. The kid goes rogue, scrambling up the barricade. His parents are screaming their heads off, telling him to stop. But Jack flashes the key to the bullpen, threatening to unleash the beast if they don't let Oh-jin go. He's serious. Oh-jin yells at the kid to get down, but Jack acts like he does this parkour stuff every day. Oh-jin keeps screaming that it's too dangerous, and he's right. The bull locks eyes with Jack and charges like a freight train. The boy clings to the fence, but the beast rams it, shattering the gate instantly. Jack loses his grip. His parents shriek in terror as the boy free falls toward the dirt. But then, a glitch in reality happens. He lands softly on a plush bed that poofed out of Oh-jin's dragon necklace. The crowd freezes in shock, watching Oh-jin sprint toward the boy. Whispers of, "Is he a wizard?" ripple through the mob. Jack wakes up, dazed, wondering why he's laying on furniture. Oh-jin slides in to check his vitals. Jack asks if Oh-jin saved him, but Oh-jin waves it off. Suddenly, the hair on Oh-jin's neck stands up. He feels hot, humid breath right behind him. He realizes the defensive barrier he cast completely whiffed. He's wide open. Oh-jin braces for impact, hearing the priestess scream for his death. But instead of goring him, the bull licks him. The villagers gasp. They call it the ultimate mark, undeniable proof that the gods love him. The vibe shifts instantly. The chief screams at everyone to show respect and rushes to Oh-jin. It's awkward as hell, with the man practically groveling for forgiveness for treating a holy man like trash. Then the chief turns on the shaman, exposing her as a fraud. He shouts that she's blind for not seeing Oh-jin's divinity and strips her of her title. The old hag tries to argue, but the mob turns on her, furious that she used the bull for her own clout. They chase her out of the village in seconds. Just like that, peace is restored. Mission accomplished. Jack walks Oh-jin and Pio out, their bags heavy with apology gifts. Jack thanks Oh-jin for saving the town and getting rid of the toxic priestess. He admits they'll keep their faith, though. Oh-jin smiles, telling him, "That's cool. Everyone needs something to believe in when life gets hard. But here's the catch. It only works if you keep it chill. Overdose on the belief mana, and things go south real quick." Jack is totally starstruck. Eyes sparkling, he tells Oh-jin, "I want to be a legendary vet like you one day." Then he drops the big question. Is it actually possible? Oh-jin flashes a grin and gives the kid the green light. Before heading out, he drops a promise. "Come find me anytime you need backup." Finally, Oh-jin and Pio roll into their home turf. They let out a massive breath, ready to crash and burn after the trip. It has been days. Just as they are visualizing their beds, they spot a squad of guys forming a human wall across the road. They are blocking the route. Confused, Oh-jin steps up like, "Yo, what is the deal? I need to get through here." The guards are not budging. "No entry," they say. Then, they squint at him. "Wait, do you know Oh-jin Hospital?" When he reveals he is Oh-jin, the officer loses it. He panic yells that Oh-jin's crib is currently overrun by monsters with leafy hairstyles. Oh-jin's brain clicks immediately. Mandrakes. He demands to go in right now. The guard hands him a pair of heavy-duty earplugs. "Put these on, or your eardrums will literally explode." Oh-jin and Pio sprint toward the clinic, but they freeze when they see the scene. It is a war zone. A massive barricade surrounds the building. Guards are swinging sticks, frantically signaling for everyone to cover their ears. They are trying to beat back the horde as the creatures scale the fence. Suddenly, the plant monsters breach the top. They let out a blood-curdling screech. Oh-jin stares in horror at the swarm of mandrakes. Are those plant zombies? Luckily, the guards knock them back down. Oh-jin and Pio notice these are not normal. They have multiplied like crazy. And the upgrades are terrifying. Neon colors and mutated voices. One of the guards, fighting for his life, notices the newbies and shouts a warning. The scream isn't the only weapon. Watch out. If those things take a bite out of you, you contract a nasty skin rot. And it is highly contagious. That explains the quarantine zone. They have locked the infected inside the perimeter. Suddenly, fierce banging on the gate. Someone is screaming to be let out. The guards hesitate. "No way, you are infected." The voice screams back. "I am clean. The rash is gone." The guard demands proof. "Show us skin." An arm shoots out, smooth and healed. They crack the gate open, and out stumbles Tor. The boys rush over, panicked. "Tor, what happened?" She catches her breath and drops the intel. A swarm of hundreds of mandrakes blitz the village out of nowhere. Most people scrambled away, but she took a bite. Oh-jin checks her ears, but she waves him off. "I am good." Selena and Adrian saved us. They are inside right now, passing out meds. Oh-jin realizes Selena is trapped in the building. He turns to Pio. Get Tor to safety. I am going in. The group looks at him like he has lost his mind. Are you insane? Oh-jin shakes his head. I can't leave my clinic like this. He steels himself. Minutes later, he is shoved through the gate, armed with nothing but a stick. Oh-jin eyes the distance to the front door. I can make it. Then, the mandrakes spot him. Target acquired. The horde charges. Oh-jin thinks, I got this. My legs are longer. Bad bet. He gets swarmed instantly. They open their mouths and scream in perfect unison. Even with the plugs, the sound drills into his skull. Oh-jin clutches his head. It sounds like a choir of 50 tone-deaf people, screaming a punk rock version of a ballad, all off-key. He flails his stick, trying to fight the noise. But his vision starts to blur. They are closing in. He is about to become plant food. Just as he wonders if plants have teeth, a magical barrier slams down, silencing the noise. A hand grabs his wrist. It is Selena. She yanks him toward a window where Adrian is waiting. They dive through the opening. Slam. They lock the window, just as the green wave crashes against the glass. Oh-jin is hyperventilating, trying to process the chaos. Selena gives a thumbs up. Soundproofing spell is active. You can take the plugs out. The ringing stops. Oh-jin pulls them into a massive bear hug. You guys literally saved my life. Once the adrenaline fades, he asks, what is up with the mandrakes? Selena sighs. It is Ping Ping's separation core. Oh-jin knew it. The core acted like super fertilizer. Selena explains the science. Last time, the energy bounced off, so it didn't trigger a full split. But this time, someone added an amplification formula. Boom. One mandrake split into hundreds. I think something glitched during the duplication, she admits. Only the pure evil instincts got copied. Oh-jin points to a holographic frame hovering above them. What is that? Selena winces. That is the security footage. It shows the moment the mandrake fell into the magic circle. She had cracked the code for the separation core, but while she was running tests, a mandrake, playing with Ping Ping, tripped and fell right into the active spell. Oh-jin gives her a deadpan look. You were casting high-level magic without checking for pets first? He absolutely explodes at her pathetic excuse, screaming that he knew she'd trigger a disaster eventually. He just tears into her, but Adrian steps into the line of fire, claiming it was his fault for not helping. So Oh-jin shifts his rage and unloads on him instead. Once the steam clears, he asks Selena for a fix, and she drops the intel. They gotta run the same playbook they used for Bloop's infinite cloning glitch. She breaks it down. Amidst the hundreds of carbon copy mandals, there's exactly one holding the separation core, the alpha. Target acquired? Not quite. Oh-jin starts sweating bullets, asking how on earth they're supposed to ID the main unit, because literally every single one looks identical. Selena admits regular eyes can't spot the difference, however. Since the core is basically a dense monobomb, a trained mage can sniff out that energy signature. Back before the split, she could have pinged it instantly. But now, the swarm is too massive and spread way too thin. Pinpointing the real deal is going to be a nightmare. Oh-jin flashes back to the horror stories about the bloops multiplying. Since that mess wrecked a whole village, Oh-jin asks how they fixed it last time. Selena spills the tea. It was a total grind. Even with her master's god-tier magic, locking onto the core took serious effort. The second she drops the MasterCard, Oh-jin and Adrian perk up, dying for details on this mystery pro. Oh-jin knows when to shut up, but Adrian has zero chill and immediately asks if the master is a guy or a girl. Selena ignores the bait, finishing the story. It took days of hunting before they finally snagged the bloop. She promises they'll bag the original Mandel and that runaway Sionia will come back. Oh-jin just freezes. He goes full panic mode, realizing Sionia is gone, but Selena claps back with a reminder. Sionia is a monosaurus, not a house cat. That beast is totally immune, unlike humans, who touch Mandel sap and instantly regret it. While people get an unbearable itch, furred animals are safe. Still, Oh-jin can't stop stressing over his pet. He's desperate to find the cat right now. Suddenly, a noise cuts through. Selena warns that the soundproofing barrier is shattering. Outside, a horde of screeching Mandel clones starts scaling the building like zombies. Adrian spots the invasion and alerts the squad, making Selena theorize that Oh-jin's aura is basically catnip for these things. Crash. The Mandels smash through the second-floor window, and everyone jams in their earplugs immediately. Realizing the swarm is flooding downstairs, the little demons appear and beeline straight for Oh-jin. Seeing the setup, Selena barks at Adrian to throw open the window right next to Oh-jin. As soon as it's open, she blasts the creatures out with a magic pulse. Adrian slams the window shut, thinking the room is clear. Oh-jin sighs and pulls his earplugs. But wait, one sneak attack. Mandel leaps from the shadows to maul him. Snap. Oh-jin's dragon necklace activates, magically clamping the Mandel's mouth shut. They watch the thing struggle helplessly. Its arms are way too stubby to break the seal. Oh-jin scoops the little guy up and, following Selena's command to keep it inside, he plants it directly into a pot of soil. Boom, asleep in seconds. Oh-jin is floored by how simple-minded this creature actually is. It's just as dumb as the original Mandel. He considers adopting it as a little brother, but unfortunately, by the next morning, the thing has lost its face and reverted to a standard, boring plant. Theory confirmed. Selena realizes the clones burn through their mana tank in 24 hours. They turn into regular herbs. But since the swarm isn't shrinking, the core Mandel is definitely still out there. It's pumping out copies non-stop. They need to hunt it down, fast. Selena whips up a special brew. Drink this, and you're immune to the itch virus for 1 hour. She flashes the vial to the guys. Adrian hypes her up, but she shoves the drink at Oh-jin. He's confused, asking why me? And smash cut to, he's lashed to a pole outside. Realizing he's literally being used as live bait to attract the swarm, Selena ignores his screaming, pointing out that the guests are already arriving. Suddenly, a wave of mandals piles onto him, gnawing away. Luckily, they're toothless, so Oh-jin just gets tickled to death. Amidst the chaos, Selena locks in, scanning for that high mana signal. She spots it right on top of Oh-jin. A flash of light cuts the scene. In a blur, the target gets snatched up by Oh-jin's right-hand beast, Sionia. Seeing how wildly it fights back against the cat, Selena knows, that's the alpha, to save Oh-jin's face from taking any more damage. Selena magically gags the Mandel and binds its limbs before snatching it up. He unleashes a spell, slamming it into the magic circle to violently rip that star symbol straight off Mandel's forehead. The moment Mandel goes silent and the clones drift into a magical coma, Adrian starts popping off, thinking the nightmare is over. But Oh-jin needs to get down first. Cut to Adrian, who's stuck hauling every single one of those mandrakes into a massive cart. While Adrian's whining about the backbreaking labor, Oh-jin hits him with a reality check. They're lucky these things were quarantined inside the walls. Oh-jin inspects a sample, realizing the roots are still kicking. His brain starts churning. It's time to replant. Selena vibes with the idea, pointing out they need to replicate the exact ecosystem of Mandel's original flower pot. Adrian's face drops as he realizes the grind isn't over. Smash cut to a few days later, he actually pulled it off and built the smart farm, with Selena carrying the team, obviously. Oh-jin surveys the setup, eyes practically turning into dollar signs, anticipating a monster harvest. He's already picturing himself as the world's first herbal medicine tycoon. But Selena immediately stomps on that fantasy. She drops the bomb. These clones are weak sauce compared to Mandel, whose body was stacked with ancient, accumulated mana. That concentrated mana is what jumpstarts biological functions and creates those god-tier healing effects when ingested. But these clones? It performs powerful life activities and shows magical medicinal effects. But in the mandrakes, Selena can't sense a drop of mana in the leaves. They're basically just glorified aspirin standard herbs, nothing magical. Oh-jin pauses, his mind flashing back to that rural village completely cut off from medical care. Plan B initiated. He hits the streets with his squad, doing a full apology tour for the chaos they caused. He's handing out free ointments, painkillers, and detailed scrolls on animal dosages like it's Christmas. Meanwhile, Adrian is out there rizzing up the local ladies, handing out flowers like a total player. That evening, after the grind, Oh-jin gives a shout-out to his crew, including Schwein, who pulled up to help. Then he gets real. If this happened back on Earth, he'd be drowning in lawsuits and bankruptcy. Schwein shrugs it off, saying monster outbreaks are just another Tuesday here, leaving Oh-jin stunned. He wonders how these people survive this insanity. Schwein then spills the tea on the infamous flop ear incident, where those things multiplied like crazy. Entire villages got wiped off the map. He explains that the locals were terrified, thinking the Mandel situation was going to be Flop Ears 2.0, a total apocalypse. But they dodged a bullet. Relieved, Schwein eyes the carriage and asks the big question, what's the deal with the seedlings? Oh-jin explains there's a village nearby that's desperate for vet care. He's going to set up a supply chain there. Schwein looks nervous, asking if these things are going to scream like banshees again. Oh-jin laughs it off. Nah, these are domesticated, farmed versions, totally different from the wild beasts. The trade-off? They pack a weaker punch medicinally. A courier pulls up, and Oh-jin ships the goods to Jack. Schwein gets all emotional seeing Oh-jin's generosity, calling him a saint. Meanwhile, Selena is shook that Oh-jin isn't flipping the herbs for profit, like she expected. She starts wondering if he actually was a genuine, caring vet back home. Then Oh-jin turns to her and tells her to make the call on the smart farm biz. She gives him a blank stare, until he drops the hammer. If you have a soul, you'll work off the debt for wrecking my hospital. And, the saint image shatters. She realizes he's just money hungry. Cut to a few days later, business as usual. Staff is grinding, while Mandel waddles around the lobby without a care in the world. Traumatized patients cringe, praying it doesn't explode again. Oh-jin and Selena watch the chaos from above, feeling like CEO big shots. Thor, the new hire, interrupts to announce the next appointment. Oh-jin checks the chart Cerberus. He pauses. Is it the Cerberus? Like, the Greek mythology legend? He's hyped, practically vibrating as he calls them in, ready to meet the gatekeeper of hell. Thor opens the door, and Oh-jin's excitement crashes. It's a three-headed mutt, attacking itself. He immediately diagnoses them as total morons. Usually, Oh-jin loves a goofball dog. The scary but secretly dumb type, that melts for a treat or a tennis ball. But this self-cannibalizing Cerberus? It's next-level stupid. The owners, clearly exhausted, drop 3 separate bowls to stop the infighting. Food hits the floor, and the chaos stops. 3 heads, 3 bowls, instant peace. Or not. Draco, the greedy head, finishes first and immediately dives into Pen-Pen's bowl. So Pen-Pen snaps, sinking his teeth in. And suddenly, it's a full-blown mosh pit. Ogun's over the drama. He glares at the chaos and demands 3 muzzles. Stat. With the trio strapped up and subdued, he finally gets the lowdown on who's who in this 3-headed freak show. He's mind blown. It's wild, they're like Siamese twins. Except usually twins vibe on the same wavelength, since they share a nervous system. But these guys? Totally different brains. Gerard, the anxious dad of the bunch, steps in with the facts. He drops some lore on Ogun. These heads aren't just rocking different moods. They've got totally different munchy cravings. Draco's the savage one, all about that carnivore life and spotting movement with eagle eyes. Then you've got Kaiba, who's the total inverse, relying on a nose that could track a ghost. And Pen-Pen? He's the chill pill of the group. Dude's got sonar hearing. Since they all crave different snacks, feeding them what they love actually keeps their diet perfectly balanced. Gerard gives them some scritches, pointing out their weirdly perfect chemistry. I mean, they've been literally attached at the hip since day one. He's the devoted type, taking them on daily strolls without missing a beat. Back when, hearing this fluffy backstory, Odin realizes these aren't the terrifying hellhounds of Greek myth. Honestly, he's kinda let down. Gerard switches gears, recounting a nightmare scenario where Draco and the squad suddenly started tearing into their own body. He tried talking them down, warning them they were literally destroying themselves, but they were stubborn as hell. Daily self-destruction turned them into shadows of their former selves. Odin mulls it over. Is this a brawl? Or is this classic self-harm behavior? Selena, eavesdropping like a pro, chimes in. She claims none of those labels fit, saying it's just animals being animals, acting out from stress. She explains that creatures groom and nip at themselves all the time, basically a stress response gone wrong. But Odin isn't buying it. Something feels off. While they argue over whether it's self-sabotage or internal warfare, Gerard squints at Selena. The gears turn, and he drops the bomb. Hey, didn't you crash at Aradella's palace? He recalls spotting her way back in the day, tagging along with his dad on a royal visit when he was just a kid. Odin freezes, shocked. Selena goes into full panic mode, playing dumb and pretending she has zero clue what he's yapping about. But Gerard isn't letting up. He IDs her as the royal magician's apprentice. Just as the tension peaks, Draco loses it. He starts mauling the other heads, and a servant rushes in to alert Gerard. Panic sets in. Odin barks an order at Selena to grab a neck, any neck. The heads are thrashing like a mosh pit, until Selena hits them with a death glare and a banshee scream. Silence. Instant shutdown. Sick of the drama, Odin tells Taurus to prep the collars. Once strapped in, the Cerberus looks absolutely crushed, and Gerard's heart breaks. Odin replays the scene in his head. The beast only went psycho while Gerard was chatting up Selena. He asks if the dogs are anti-women, but Gerard shrugs it off. Then it clicks. They don't hate women, they hate his fiancée. And here's the kicker, they've never even met her. Odin probes for details, and Gerard starts gushing, calling her the stunning daughter of Baron Barca. He's dropping way too much info, basically writing a love poem. And Draco hates every second of it. The heads start twitching. Seeing the trigger, Odin yells to kill the collars. He checks Draco's pulse racing but stable. Odin declares the Cerberus needs a hospital stay. Gerard panics about leaving them, but Odin pulls him close. A few whispered words later, Gerard bursts into tears and sprints out the door, promising to return tomorrow. The second he's gone, the dogs launch themselves at the door, clawing desperately to follow their dad. But then Owen signals Gerard to come back in. Boom, instant shift. The dogs are happy, playful. Owen smirks. He solved the puzzle. The self-harm was a performance. Owen turns to Gerard, asking exactly when the biting started. 5 or 6 months ago, Gerard replies. Owen follows up. And when did you meet your fiancé? Bullseye. The timelines match perfectly. Owen drops the diagnosis, the aggression, the insomnia, the fading health. It's pure jealousy. They aren't sick. They're green with envy over the girl. Gerard looks like he just got slapped with a fish. Owen breaks it down. Gerard admitted he's never spent a single day apart from them, since birth. That level of attachment? It's borderline obsession. To those mutts, Gerard is God. The moment he started simping for someone else, their world collapsed. They went into crisis mode, acting out just to force his eyes back on them. Gerard is floored that he's the root cause. But Owen chills him out. This is standard possessive pet drama, just dialed up to 11. Desperate for a cure, Gerard asks what to do. Owen promises a fix, but warns him, it's gonna take serious grind. First up, the mission is to completely rewire the mutt's brains so they stop seeing the fiancé as public enemy number 1. Phase 1. Pavlovian tactics. Every time Gerard drops his girl's name, he needs to hype up the dogheads with premium treats and praise. Next, he's got to take items drenched in her perfume, load them up with the mutt's favorite snacks, and shower them with affection. Even if they just sniff the snacks, it's a win. It's going to be a grind, but Gerard has to rinse and repeat until it sticks. And if the pups accidentally chomp down on a scent-soaked treat, that's the jackpot. Gerard needs to throw a whole celebration right there. Phase 2 is socialization boot camp, because right now, the codependency between Gerard and his beasts is way too intense, leaving zero room for a third wheel. Owen's game plan? They need to dilute that obsession and spread the love around. Owen asks if there's any other wildlife in the castle, and Gerard admits there is, but the local fauna is terrified of the Cerberus. Gerard realizes he's created spoiled monsters, so Owen suggests bringing in a heavy hitter, a beast-type mammal, something that won't wet itself in front of a hellhound. And luckily, he's got the perfect candidate in his contacts. Enter Julian, a massive Fenrir. The moment the mutts lock eyes with him, it's a growl-off, and Julian stands his ground like a boss. The maids and staff try to referee the tension, but it's useless. Desperate, Owen wishes he had a frisbee to break the ice. Suddenly, his dragon necklace glows and literally manifests his wish. He hurls the disc, and even though it's their first time seeing one, the instinct kicks in. The mutts chase it down, triggering a fetch marathon that lasts for hours until every creature is totally gassed. Julian's owner takes one look at the Cerberus and notices they're fully intact. Owen explains they're just oversized puppies, despite looking like endgame bosses. Julian's owner shoots Gerard a judgmental glare, leaving the Duke completely baffled. Later that night, the romance kicks in. Gerard receives a letter from Rosalina, his fiancée, pouring her heart out about missing him and hoping his scary pets will finally accept her. Reading it, Gerard turns into a blushing mess, totally smitten. He declares he'd wait an eternity for her, praising her empathy, and saying her soul is as stunning as her face. The mutts catch the vibe and start growling with jealousy, but Gerard remembers the playbook. He has to ignore their possessive tantrums. While the servants try to break up the three-headed brawl, Gerard steps up, using his alpha voice to command them to stop. And shockingly, they actually listen. Seeing their anxiety, he switches from stern to comforting, promising he's never going to abandon them. He pets their massive heads, explaining that the squad is just getting one member bigger, and tells them to get hyped instead of stressed, because now they'll have 2 humans to spoil them rotten. A few days later, Gerard rolls up to the hospital, beaming. He tells Owen the training montage was a success, and the mutts have stopped shredding or burying Rosalina's stuff. Relieved, Owen announces it's time for the boss level, meeting the fiancé in the flesh. On the big day, the Barca carriage pulls up, right outside the hospital. But just before the door opens, the dogheads start growling, the tension spiking through the roof. Gerard starts panic spiraling, wondering if this is a mistake. Owen steps in to de-escalate, reminding him they have a failsafe. Selena is standing by with tranquilizer darts, just in case the beasts go feral. As Rosalina steps out, Owen and Selena brace themselves for a delicate, dazzling noblewoman, just like Gerard described. But jaws drop as they see a total unit, a muscular, macho woman who looks like she could bench press the carriage. The mutts take one look at her and are instantly terrified. The plan was to scare her, but she's the one radiating alpha energy. Rosalina squeals, calling the terrifying beasts cute, and marches right at them. Owen thinks it's a disaster, warning that you don't just charge at a Cerberus. He signals Selena to ready the darts, but miraculously, the dogs don't attack. They just accept their fate. Gerard is over the moon, seeing his monsters tamely snuggling into Rosalina's muscular arms, even eating treats right out of her hand. He credits Owen's training, but Owen is seeing something else. Realizing the mutts just recognized a new pack leader. Seeing how smooth it went, he wishes they'd done this sooner. Selena watches the dog lover bonding session and agrees they're going to be a perfect family. Owen is vibing with the happy ending until a sudden chill hits his spine. He mentions it to Selena, who looks impressed that his senses are that sharp. She drops the news that the atmospheric mana is shifting, and a brutal cold front is incoming. Owen is confused since it's been warm all week. Cut to a few days later, Owen is down for the count with a nasty cold. He checks the window and is shook by how extreme the weather has turned. Selena steps in to explain the magical phenomenon.